This man is an idiot. He has a beautiful wife, but doesn't want her. He insists on choosing to watch porn. This person is me, Hao Good-Man. I used to be a young man without a car, without a house, and without a girlfriend. It wasn't until a master told me that I was a once-in-a-century martial arts genius. I then started to learn various martial arts skills. By the time I made my debut, I was already able to defeat anyone in combat. I also took the opportunity to establish my own Good-Men clan and started to eradicate evil and uphold justice. Soon I married a beautiful and wealthy woman and reached the peak of my life. However, what I did not expect was that my secretary unexpectedly gave me a big gift. Being a good man, of course, I could not refuse this kindness. I directly gave the big plane a sweet hug. Upon waking up again, I found myself in a mysterious space. Looks like I've become the first male lead to die from playing with a plane. Just then, a stunning girl appeared in front of me. She introduced herself as the goddess of system, and I am the host she has chosen. She then began to introduce my mission. It turns out that in the near future of 2030, due to a globally popular beverage, resulting in a large number of humans turning into zombies, the world was quickly overrun by a large number of zombies, becoming a true apocalypse. And all I need to do is to rescue the people there and help them rebuild their homes, then I can return to the original world. Of course, System Girl couldn't bear to let me, this man with no power, die in vain. So she promised to give me special help. After all, in front of me, there were already 98 hosts who had lamented in the Northwest. With just a wave of her hand, numerous skills, techniques, and arts appeared before me. At first sight, I was captivated by a dojutsu, not because it had the power to destroy the heavens and earth, but because it possessed the divine skills that every man dreams of. Do I still need to hesitate? I'll just choose it. The next second, my pupils turned golden. I quickly turned my head to look at System Girl to test the effect of this X-ray vision skill. The scene was too beautiful, so I won't show it to the audience here. However, my actions couldn't escape System Girl's notice. She immediately gave me a big slap and then teleported me out at the fastest speed. Just as I was curious about what the end of the world would look like, the sound of rushing water caught my attention. I turned to look, and a graceful figure was reflected on the shower curtain behind me. Oh my! Could this be the zombie of the end of the world? No matter how great your kung fu is, you still fear the kitchen knife. But I dare to catch a plane with bare hands. I successfully played dead on the spot. I accidentally obtained the goddess of system, but I just used the perspective dojutsu to take a peek at her pantsu. I was then transported to a post-apocalyptic world full of zombies, and was asked to become some sort of savior. But what greeted me was a charming figure of a young lady. Could she really be a zombie in this post-apocalyptic world? I quickly activate my dojutsu to conduct a search. Just as I was carefully observing and identifying, a short sword suddenly shot out from behind the bath curtain and headed straight for my face. Fortunately, my mastery of floating steps over the waves was at its peak, allowing me to easily dodge the short sword's projectile attack. The next moment, a blonde girl rushed out from behind the curtain, wielding a knife and attacking me. However, no matter how she attacked, she couldn't harm me at all. And I just made a slow motion move with my left hand and right foot. I easily subdued her. The girl, on the other hand, was threatening to gouge out my eyeballs. At this moment, I finally confirmed that the girl in front of me was indeed a human. She saw me relaxing my guard and was surprised. The girl raised her 1.8-meter long legs and swung them towards me. But she was once again easily controlled by me. She saw that she was no match for me at all, so she decided to summon zombies to perish with me. She immediately opened her big mouth and bit towards my carotid artery. However, the next second, she collapsed with a gurgling sound. It turns out the girl had been hungry for several days. The recent fight had drained all her energy. I see the pitiful appearance of this girl Choo-Choo in front of me. I immediately transformed into Gontu Daping. I took out a can and handed it to her to eat. This girl actually doubted the character of this good man. She thought I had ulterior motives towards her. There's no other way. I can only savor this delicious canned food alone. However, in the end of the world, who can resist the temptation of braised pork? While I was off guard, the girl snatched the canned food from my hand and started to enjoy the deliciousness of this world. I also learned the name of this girl in front of me, which is Yi Shirley. Indeed, in this post-apocalyptic world, food is the most valuable currency. With various delicacies as leverage, I successfully obtained a detailed map of the city where Shirley is located. After planning the route, I bid farewell to Shirley. I am ready to go in search of my first hunting target. After all, System Girl mentioned that there will be unexpected surprises when killing zombies. Just as I was curious about what kind of surprise it would be, a zombie suddenly broke through the window and attacked me. Hao Good-Man smirked devilishly. He slightly moved back to dodge the attack from the zombie. He looked at the zombie in front of him and thought that it must have been attracted by the sound of the soda can he kicked. They are so sensitive to sound. The zombie won't give Hao Good-Man any time to think. It opens its claws and reaches out towards him. He looks at the claws that are within reach. He thinks that if he were scratched by this claw, he would probably turn into a zombie. There's nothing he can do. Then I'll just take off his claws first. I saw the good man summoning the dagger with his mind. He swiftly crossed over the zombie at an invisible speed and then disarmed its claws. Hao Good-Man looked smug and said, "Come catch me if you can, you little noob." But when he turned to look, he found that the zombie's arm was miraculously regenerating in front of his eyes. In the blink of an eye, a complete arm grew out, leaving Hao Good-Man stunned and speechless. Realizing what was happening, Hao Good-Man quickly ran in the opposite direction of the zombie. He wondered how could it have regeneration abilities. Isn't that unfair? Wow, just like one of those wannabe online experts. But zombie doesn't care about all that. It makes a howling sound as it relentlessly pursues from behind. In the blink of an eye, the zombie caught up with Hao Good-Man and was ready to dig into his waist. Just hear a swish sound and Hao Good-Man raised his knife and chopped off the zombie's arm. The zombie looked at his newly regenerated arm and grinned, as if saying, "Come on! If you are brothers, then come praise me." As you wish. Hao Good-Man only saw disassemble Zombie's arm again. But he still did not hurt Zombie at all. Hao Good-Man was furious. He took a dagger and confronted Zombie head-on. Zombie was not weak either, so they kept hacking at each other and regenerating. Neither could defeat the other. They finally stopped when both of them were exhausted. Hao Good-Man smiled and retracted the dagger with his mind. He unleashed Away's 18 ultimate moves of martial arts. He threw a punch directly towards the zombie. The zombie covered its head with both hands, as if it could sense the strong energy coming towards it. Just then, when Hao Good-Man's fist touched the zombie was sent flying backward. It lay on the ground finally without a breath. The man punched Zombie's dog head, and unexpectedly Zombie burst out 1 million gold coins. The man is extremely excited. He is thinking that this must be the surprise mentioned by the goddess of system. Then I must reward her with a monkey. But the gold coins held in hand are slowly dissipating. Hao Good-Man looks puzzled. At this moment, the goddess of system jumps out and congratulates the host on successfully eliminating a zombie. You can get 1 million gold coins by eliminating a zombie. Now that you have your first bucket of gold, you can start spending money. He heard the words of the goddess. Hao Good-Man instantly felt that he was just one step away from being a tall, rich, and handsome man. The goddess looked at Hao Good-Man, who was like money falling into her eyes, and continued speaking. Because you have struck gold for the first time. The Dojutsu skill upgrade tree has been activated, but upgrading the martial soul Dojutsu requires spending 10 million game currency. You don't have enough money for it yet. Even Hao Good-Man was stunned to hear about the 10 million. He thought to himself, with so much money, wouldn't it be great to retire early? Seeing Hao Good-Man's expression, Goddess of System gleefully said, "Serves you right. Host, your current ability with the Golden Dojutsu is to see through things. The next level ability of the Martial Soul Dojutsu is temporarily confidential. If you want to know, work hard to fight monsters and earn money. By the way, you have activated the Gate of Dojutsu function, which allows you to return to the original world." Hao Good-Man, who dreams of returning to the original world, is excited. "Quick! Tell me quickly how much money I need to spend in order to use it." The goddess was so excited when she saw the enthusiastic Hao Good-Man, she felt her scheme had succeeded. "It's not expensive. It only costs 1 billion gold coins for each teleportation. And once you're teleported there, you can only stay in the original world for 24 hours. Upon hearing the 1 billion gold coins, Hao Good-Man looked like a wilted eggplant. He felt that returning to the original world seemed like a distant prospect. She looked at the listless Hao Good-Man. The goddess no longer strikes him. Your virtual space can store items other than life. The coins dropped by killing zombies can only be seen by you. And you don't need to manually pick them up. They will automatically convert into your wealth. By the way, the time in the outside world will stop when you enter the virtual space, so you don't have to worry about being discovered or harmed when entering the space. You have to work hard. If you have any questions, feel free to call me Hao Good-Man, watching the slowly dissipating goddess." He touched his forehead and said, "You said it too simply." He is now only more than 99 million gold coins away from opening the gate back to the original world. Thinking about so many gold coins, Hao Good-Man feels a headache coming on. Forget it. I gonna keep farming mobs and stacking that cash. He just gave a can of food to the girl in front of him. She thinks I'm the canned food tycoon of the apocalypse just because I gave her a can. Even after we parted ways, she still followed me all the way. It seems that she is still infatuated with my body. No, it's the taste of canned food. I thought I could stop her from following by punching the zombie's head, but I didn't expect that she is a woman who won't stop until she reaches her goal. Now I don't want to deal with her. I just want to kill more zombies, earn more coins, and quickly return to the original world. But it took me a long time to find a few zombies in the city. I thought to myself, at this rate, it's too slow to earn 100 million coins. Where have all those zombies died off to? At this moment, a tempting smell came from beside me. The good man pinched his nose and picked it up. He opened it and found a distress message written by a girl on top, with a sexy lip print. Could it be a honey trap? Forget it. I'm just going to look for zombie myself. Just like that, Hao Good-Man arrived at the amusement park. Just as he was looking around, a voice suddenly came from his ear. I saw a young lady waving a flag for help and shouting, "Hey, handsome guy, come rescue me." But her cries for help grew fainter and fainter. Tears couldn't help but fall from her eyes. It turns out that the zombies around heard the movement and crowded around. The girl looked at the zombies, which were within arm's reach. She cried out loudly in fear, just as the zombies reached out their claws towards the girl. Hao Good-Man picked up a rock from the ground and used all his strength to smash it towards the zombie. Only to see a bang, the zombie's body was pierced directly. The good man showed a look of satisfaction. They all turned into zombies, who only know how to bully women. You guys must not have been good people before you died. The surrounding zombies seemed to understand his words, all marching towards Hao Good-Man in unison. Then, they went crazy and ran towards Hao Good-Man, only to see Hao Good-Man flick his finger lightly. The stone pierced through the zombie's head like a bullet. But other zombies have already arrived by Hao Good-Man's side. Hao Good-Man remains calm and composed. Just as he made a series of maneuvers, he effortlessly took care of all the zombies. Just then, a series of booming sounds echoed. All the zombies turned into gold coins and lay on the ground. The girl saw that Hao Good-Man had killed so many zombies and thought to herself, "This is the man I want." She only saw her tugging at her already tattered clothes, speaking in a suggestive tone. "Hey there, handsome, I really like you. But even if you like me, please keep your hands to yourself. This isn't a lawless zone." Faced with such a stunning girl making advances, the man didn't even look at her. The girl looked puzzled. The next second, the girl was sweating as she watched the man reach into Zombie's crotch area as if looking for something. The girl was shocked and turned pale. What is he doing? Does he have any special fetishes? I saw the man continue to search around for the zombie, thinking that all the other zombies had dropped coins except for you. Did you hide them? But he didn't find anything either. The man finally lost his patience and shook the zombie vigorously, shouting loudly, "Give me back my hard-earned money." The young lady was stunned by the scene in front of her. She wondered if this was what they called a life and death situation. This is too hardcore. As the man kept shaking, the zombie finally dropped some gold coins. The man looks like he's really enjoying it. He thought to himself, finally it came out. It feels so great to get something through his own efforts. The young lady was so scared that she quickly hid away, thinking to herself if she could still escape now. But it seemed like the man could hear her thoughts. He turned and asked, "What were you just saying?" The already frightened young lady was almost scared to death by this sudden sound. There's no way around it. It's not easy to meet a man that I'm satisfied with. Whether he is straight or gay, I'll make him fall in love with me first. The young lady then put on a shy expression and said, "Thank you, handsome guy, for saving me. If it weren't for you, I'd probably be dead here today." She saw the man who had no reaction. "I am Choo Choo Baby. I was searching for food when I accidentally disturbed nearby zombies. I injured my leg while escaping and ended up being trapped here. I know you, handsome guy. You have great martial arts skills. Can you please send Choo Choo back? I will definitely thank you very much by then." He heard a hearty thank you. The man's mind flashed countless images in an instant. Immediately, he turned his head and said, "When you mentioned a hearty thank you, are you implying that you have gold on your side?" The young woman's face fell, thinking to herself why he wasn't following the usual script. Suddenly, she immediately changed her expression and said, "Hey handsome, you're kidding. Who needs that thing in the future? It can't be eaten or used." "But it's different when you're with me." But she hadn't finished her sentence yet. The man turned his head and said, "If there's no gold, forget it. I have things to do. Let's talk about it next time." Upon hearing the man reject her, the young lady was furious. "Stop right there. Don't toast and then refuse to drink, resulting in a punishment." He just didn't want to escort the young lady in front of him home. He called a bunch of girls to come and surround me. The man was shocked, thinking to himself, "I knew this darn thing was a honey trap. Luckily, I didn't give her a ride back. If I had gone, wouldn't I be like a sheep entering a tiger's den?" At this moment, the girl with short hair stepped forward and said, "Choo Choo, where did you find this handsome guy? He's really something special." The girl next to her also quickly responded, "Yes, that's right, that's right." The man's face immediately darkened as he looked at himself being teased like this. But in the blink of an eye, he turned into a licking dog, using a set of tricks to make the girl he likes bloom with joy. The short-haired girl couldn't help but reach out and touch Hao Good-Man's broad shoulder. With a loud sound, "Wow, handsome, you really know how to make the girls happy." Choo Choo saw the short-haired girl starting to make a move and hurried to step in. "He is my lifesaver. Don't you dare bully him." But the man at this point actually looks like he's enjoying it, even saying, "Don't stop, I like it when you bully me." When Choo Choo saw this scene, she broke out in a cold sweat. This is truly a big pervert. She thought to herself, "This guy just now had a proud gay attitude of rather die than surrender. How come he suddenly became so interested in girls?" At this moment, a sentence that someone once said flashed through Choo Choo's mind. "There is no man in the world that no woman can handle. If there is, then just add a few more women to him." At this moment, Hao Good-Man is about to be played around by the girls. Just then, the young ladies pulled Hao Good-Man over and buried him in their chests. Sisters all like you. Are you willing to come with us? As long as you follow the sisters, all of us will be yours. And on the side, Choo-Choo quickly stepped forward and held Hao Good-Man's arm, seizing the opportunity to say, Yes, yes. We have many delicious foods and drinks. Just come back with us, Hao Good-Man. Feeling the elasticity from Choo-Choo's grasp on his arm. At this moment, he felt as if he had arrived in heaven. At this moment, the man has lost himself, mumbling, No problem, you all look so good. Whatever you ask me to do, I'll do it. I'll follow your lead. But the girls blushed shyly on the surface, surrounding Hao Good-Man. In their hearts, they actually thought he was a real man, but they didn't expect him to be so easily deceived. There is no challenge at all. It's really boring. He originally thought that he would have a group of wives and concubines by his side from then on. But he didn't expect that each of them turned out to be fierce and scheming, trying to tie him up and rob him. Fortunately, I had already seen through their conspiracy. I surreptitiously stole their tools before they were aware of it. The girls at this moment looked confused. They quickly gathered together to discuss the disappearance of their weapons, completely unaware that I was no longer by their side. I watched the young ladies whispering to each other. Hao Good-Man held the tools used by the girls and said slowly, Stop looking. The things are all with me. The girl quickly turned her head to look at Hao Good-Man. How is this possible? Were you pretending just now? Hao Good-Man put on a mocking expression. What do you all think? Come on, you don't actually think I'm that creepy old guy, right? I saw through your tricks a long time ago. I felt something was off right from the moment I walked in. Even though Choo-Choo is surrounded by zombies, you show no fear at all. So I directly activated the dojutsu for observation. I didn't expect that the woman asking for help would have a tranquilizer needle on her. And the tranquilizer needle doesn't work on zombies, so your target must be me. But it's too dangerous for a woman like you to come out as bait in the apocalypse, so I guess you must have companions around you. So I used dojutsu to expand the scope of my investigation. I did see a few women lurking nearby. They are fully equipped and don't look weak at all, not displaying any sign of being frail women. Although I know this is a trap, I really don't understand why you are trying to catch a big man like me. In the past, I was the only one setting traps for others on the road. I never expected that in this world, someone would set a trap for me. So I used the skills I honed in the previous world. Help myself to something. Now all your weapons have been taken by me. I want to see what tricks you have left. By the way, I don't know if you've heard that real hunters often appear in the form of prey. Feel free to use any means you have, otherwise, you may not have the chance later. When you hear this, the girl with short hair was full of anger, thinking that since the plan had been exposed and the weapon had been confiscated, she had no choice but to go all out. Next, she walked up and said, So what have you seen through it? So far, no man has been able to escape from me. As she spoke, four girls rushed up at lightning speed. In this female-dominant world, little fresh meat not only needs to go to the construction site to move bricks. At night, he also has to endure the rich woman's beating. Just because of the outbreak of the end-of-the-world virus. The infection rate among males is much higher than that among females, leading to a sharp decrease in the number of males. And now, men have become rare animals, important commodities fought over by all women. The men in front of us refuse to go home with these women. They are furious. They want to use violence to make men submit. And the men are not worried at all. He grabbed the fist of the woman rushing towards him. Then he tripped her. The woman lost her balance and fell out. Immediately after, the man injected the sedative into the woman's buttocks. After he easily resolved one issue, another girl flew over and kicked with a swift kick. The man grabbed her small whip and wrapped it around the woman's legs. With a big swing of his hand, the woman spun around in place like a top. And the last two girls saw the situation in front of them. They rushed up directly. They started working up and down. With a click sound, the attacks of the two people made a huge noise. But their attacks were easily dodged by the man, with a casual step. He casually handcuffed their hands together. Next, the man held a small knife against the woman's waist. The woman was not afraid at all. They arrogantly said, "Do you think you can?" But before she could finish speaking, she was slapped unconscious by a man. And at this moment, a camera was focusing on the man. It turns out that Yi Shirley was watching everything from a high place. She thought to herself that men are usually weak against beauty. Surprisingly, he did not take the bait. It seems that his appearance in my bathroom before might have been a misunderstanding. By this time, Hao Good-Man had already tied those women together. Hao Good-Man looked at the scene before him and thought to himself that the figure was really good. It's a pity. But ever since he arrived in the underworld, he encountered nothing but women. As the woman looked at her bound limbs, she said fiercely, "We are members of the Black Lotus Gang. If you dare treat us like this, just wait for revenge." The man, with a fearless expression on his face, grinned and said, "Black Lotus Gang? I think it's the Black Heart Gang, isn't it? Now you better answer a few questions obediently, or I'll throw you to feed the zombie. Judging from the way you're dressed, all of you should be using this method to catch men, right? Just subdue these she-devils." He wanted to persuade them to form a beauty army for himself. But unexpectedly, a large group of zombies rushed out. The man looked excited as he stared at the zombies. He thought to himself that he was just worried about not having money, and now money is coming to him. The poor girl who is tied up is in trouble, as the zombies rush towards her. They grabbed the girl's arm. At this moment, the short-haired girl was so scared that she burst into tears, trembling as she said to Choo Choo, "Please help me untie the rope." But Choo Choo looked disgusted and said, "If you've already been infected, don't drag me down with you," she said, and then she shook off the young lady with short hair and ran out the door. And the young lady with short hair was then engulfed by the crowd of zombies. The fleeing Choo Choo didn't forget to threaten Hao Good-Man, telling him to wait because she would definitely come back for revenge. Hao Good-Man said fearlessly, "I will be ready to welcome you at any time." Following closely, Hao Good-Man charged towards the group of zombies and wreaked havoc. After dealing with all the zombies, the man stood in the middle of the square, watching the coins that burst out from the zombies. He had a satisfied expression on his face. Shirley looked at him with a silly smile on her face. She was thinking about why he could resist the temptation of a beauty just now, but now showed a look of excitement while killing zombies. A strange idea suddenly emerged in my mind. Does this person have a particular affinity for zombies? Shirley rolled her eyes at the thought. At this time, another large group of zombies rushed towards the man. Hao Good-Man looked at more and more zombies approaching and thought it might be best to call it quits today. Otherwise, if there are too many zombies later, it wouldn't be worth it to put himself in danger. He then used telekinesis to take out a can of food. At this moment, Shirley was scrutinizing every move of Hao Good-Man. When she saw the can in Hao Good-Man's hand, she immediately had stars in her eyes and drool dripping from her mouth. She almost drowned in her own drool. Hao Good-Man already knew that Shirley was nearby. He shouted at her loudly, "Have you had enough of watching the show? If I die, all these delicious canned foods will be gone." Before Hao Good-Man could finish speaking, only to see the Ferris wheel shaking violently. "Wait! I'll be there in a second." Only to see Shirley jump off the Ferris wheel. "Fire up. Start." She rode a motorcycle and dashed towards Hao Good-Man. She bumped and dashed all the way. Even the zombies were scared and gave way to her. Shirley suddenly skidded to a stop beside Hao Good-Man and shouted aggressively, "Get in the car. Make sure the canned goods are well packed. If one is missing, I'll twist your waist off." The girl risks her life to save the man. But she didn't expect him to take advantage of the speeding motorcycle and behave like a rogue. Feeling a slight strange sensation from the other person's body, the female protagonist blushed and felt embarrassed. She directly planted several mushrooms on the man's head and coquettishly said, "If it weren't for the food, I wouldn't have used up the precious gasoline for you." The man then showed a smug expression of having taken advantage of the situation. "I am generous, so I won't hold it against you this time," he replied. That's how it is. In this awkward atmosphere, the two returned to their residence. The man watched as the girl tinkered with the kerosene lamp and asked, "Is this your base too?" "Yes, after the outbreak of the apocalypse virus, the wealthy area turned into an uninhabited ghost town. I turned this mansion into a base," she replied. The man looked puzzled and asked, "With such scarce resources in the post-apocalyptic world, where did you find gasoline and motorcycles?" "That was given to me by my father before the apocalypse. I was planning to use it to travel to the survivor base to find my parents. But the north gate is full of zombies. I tried several times, but couldn't break through. Now I can only take good care of it. I have also been collecting gasoline all the time. Maybe one day I can leave. I don't know if my parents are still alive." He looked at the girl with a worried expression. Hao Good-Man is also sentimental when touched by the scene. He took out an apple and handed it to the little girl. "Eat it. Only when you are full can you have the strength to find your parents." I thought it was going to be a moving scene. But the next second, the little girl immediately ate both Hao Good-Man's hand and the apple in one bite. The woman looked blissful and said, "So sweet. I haven't had an apple in a long time. The last time I ate one was 2 years ago in a frozen warehouse where the fruit was rotting." Hao Good-Man looked disgusted as he gazed at the drool on his hand. He thought to himself, "This is a real little foodie." Suddenly, an idea flashed through his mind. "Miss, are you following me like this because you have a crush on me and want to offer your body to me?" The lady who heard this almost sprayed out her apple. Then she blushed and said shyly, "Who has a crush on you?" "I just feel sorry for those foods. And if you die, I won't be able to get food from you anymore, right? But on second thought, what kind of person are you? How come you have so much food?" Hao Good-Man crosses his arms in front of his chest. "Although it's our second meeting, I'm not sure what kind of person you really are. How could I tell you such an important secret? You don't already know my name? I used to be a member of the swordsmanship team. I'm good at using cold weapons. With the training of these 2 years, my skills are still alright, but I still can't beat you." Hao Good-Man had a flash of insight when he heard about the swordsmanship team. "These are the best members to form my girl group." But when he looked at the men, a lecherous expression appeared on his face. The girl knew what he was thinking and immediately planted cute little mushrooms on him. The guilty man quickly coughed twice and introduced himself. "My name is Hao Good-Man. I am a martial arts trainer. As for food," he was just in my pocket. "Would you like to have a look by yourself?" He tried to stop the young lady from continuing to ask where his food came from. The man then said, "They are all in the pockets. If you don't believe, come and have a look for yourself." The young lady immediately realized he was teasing her. She slapped the man and sent him flying with one slap. Seeing the young lady, the man stopped asking about food and said earnestly, "I need to hunt down the zombies around here, and you are familiar with this area. I want you to guide me." The man was about to say something but was immediately interrupted by the woman. "Only a lunatic would go hunting zombies." But when she heard the man say that if he was willing, during this period, she could eat canned meat and fruits and vegetables until she was full, the young lady immediately agreed. She thought to herself that this person doesn't seem bad after spending so much time together. And starving to death seems to be more unappealing compared to being bitten to death by zombies. That's how the young lady became the first member of the male leads end of the world girl group. The two of them sitting in the living room chatting idly about what happened during the day. Just a second ago, the man was saying that he is a gentleman and nothing can deceive his eyes. But the next second, he was made to have a nosebleed by a scene. I saw a young lady coming out of the room dressed in a cool outfit. The woman saw the man who was still bleeding from his nose with a look of shyness on his face, and then let out a loud scream. While the man had a face full of embarrassment, he was once again implanted with a small mushroom. Shirley quickly took the young lady into the room and angrily said to Hao Good-Man, "I'm taking my sister to change clothes. If you dare to peek, I'll smash your dog head." With that, she slammed the door shut. The man, on the other hand, had a depressed expression on his face. "She suddenly appeared dressed like that. I didn't mean to see it either. You were too heavy-handed." Suddenly, something beside him caught his eye, only to see many gold and silver jewelry displayed inside the cabinet. The man holding the bracelet looked excited, thinking that the previous owner was really wealthy since these things were left behind. "It's a pity that they weren't taken. It would be great if I could take them away." The bracelet suddenly held in a hand is slowly dissipating. At this moment, the system popped up and congratulated the host on the increase of 10,000 assets. Whatever objects made of gold that the host touches can be transformed into wealth. The man's eyes lit up with stars of gold. "It seems that if I find more gold, I can go back to the original world in no time." Just thinking about it, he started rummaging through every nook and cranny in the room. At that moment, the young lady also opened the door and walked out. Seeing the man's behavior, they both had a puzzled look on their faces and asked, "What are you doing?" The sudden sound startled the man. He nervously said, "I thought this place looked a bit dirty, so I wanted to help clean it up." The young lady looked puzzled. "Cleaning now?" Hao Good-Man quickly cleared his throat twice to interrupt the awkward tension. "Of course, a good man is me. I am Hao Good-Man." The two looked at the man who seemed like a mental retard, which directly rendered the young lady speechless for a while. The twin sisters, one gentle and considerate like water, and the other willful, capricious, and unreasonable. The not-so-gentle little sister is currently apologizing for her rudeness just now. But Shirley immediately... The twin sisters, one gentle and considerate like water, and the other willful, capricious, and unreasonable. The not-so-gentle little sister is currently apologizing for her rudeness just now. But Shirley immediately showed an angry expression when she saw this situation. Seeing this, the little sister patted Shirley's shoulder and comforted her by saying, "Sister, didn't you say he shared food with you? He helped you, so he is a great benefactor to us." Shirley still had a proud expression on her face, but when she thought about the food, she eventually compromised. This scene made the girl a little at a loss. She quickly changed the topic and asked Hao Good-Man, "How did you meet my sister?" The man looked excited and said, "It was on that day." But before she could finish her sentence, Shirley covered her mouth. Shirley blurted out nervously that she saw a man being set up by members of the Black Lotus gang. Then she saved him, and that's how they met. But she failed to realize that her actions nearly caused the man to die on the spot. She was still thinking that she absolutely couldn't let her sister know that he had peeked at her while she was showering. The younger sister looked at the two of them with a suspicious look on her face. Wasn't he just said to be in the bathroom? Just saw Hao Good-Man being patted on the shoulder by Shirley, looking flustered as he said, No, you must have misheard it." And at this point, the young lady seemed to be channeling Black Widow. "Okay, but if I find out you have ulterior motives towards my sister, I won't let you off," she said. Looking at the young lady's sinister gaze, Hao Good-Man's hair stood on end, thinking to himself that this woman changes faces too quickly. But at this moment, the young lady suddenly made a violent coughing sound. Hao Good-Man comforted the young lady, who was looking nervous, reassuringly. Thinking about the bandages wrapped around her body, her pale face, coughing, and chest pain, could it be that the young lady has some health issues? Thinking about this, he activated his Mangekyo Sharingan, only to see that the young lady's body had been infected very severely. Seeing this situation, Hao Good-Man asked nervously, "What happened to the young lady's wounds?" Shirley immediately put on a ferocious expression. "It's those damn Black Lotus gang again. My sister, and I went to a food freezer warehouse 10 days ago to look for food. We were lucky to find some food that day, but unexpectedly members of the Black Lotus gang rushed in too. They were fully equipped. They have been obtaining food through looting. But with food being so precious in the post-apocalyptic world, we certainly don't want to give in easily. So we started fighting. And you know my skills too. And my older sister is also a sharpshooter. She almost never misses a shot. Along with our great teamwork, we easily defeated them. And one of the women begged for mercy from us. I had already wanted to let them go. But I didn't expect that woman to play dirty. She took advantage of our unpreparedness and attacked us. And my sister, upon discovering, took the blow for me. Seeing my severely injured sister, I originally wanted to seek revenge. But the sound of our fighting attracted many zombies. In the end, I had no choice but to take my sister and leave. Although we managed to escape. But my sister's wound became infected. Originally, it only needed a little bit of penicillin to solve the infection problem. But because it wasn't found, the wound couldn't heal. And my sister's body is getting weaker and weaker. She is in pain every day and can't sleep. I feel like she can't hold on much longer. Watching my sister lying in bed in unbearable pain. Shirley cried like a pear blossom in the rain, pleading with the man for help. She is willing to do anything to help her sister recover. And at this moment, the man had already made calculations in his heart. These two young ladies are not only talented, but also very beautiful. They are the perfect choice for my post-apocalyptic girl group. I just need to go back to the original world to retrieve the medicine to save her. But I don't have enough gold to teleport back now. I have to get them to help me find the gold first. The young ladies, who heard about collecting gold, looked confused. Gold cannot be eaten, and cannot be exchanged for useful items. Why are you collecting gold? You don't need to worry about this. As long as you promise, it's all good. I will not only help you find medications, but also provide you with the best food in the world. When you hear the best food, surely, this foodie immediately lit up with excitement. While Amy pondered that since this person is willing to share even food, he doesn't seem like a bad person. Plus, in this world, everyone has their own secrets. Since he can help us survive, why ask more questions then? Thinking about it, the girls agreed to come along. Later, they mentioned that there is a large casino in the west of the city called Quan Prefecture, where they use gold as chips. There should be a lot of gold reserves there. Hearing the zombie group, Hao Good-Man's eyes light up. That's great. Just in time. You can fight zombies and collect gold at the same time. This way, you can earn mana from the original world faster. Thinking about it, he said to the girl, "Don't worry about this. I have my own way." He then used his mind to bring out a lot of food and placed it on the table. Let's all have something to eat. Let's take a rest for the night. We will set off for the gambling city early tomorrow morning. Amy looked puzzled when she saw the sudden appearance of food, but she did not say much. Shirley, on the other hand, was excited and did not pay attention to these details at all. Evening. Amy, lying on the bed, was still tortured by illness, and found it difficult to fall asleep. Hao Good-Man stood on the balcony basking in the moonlight, wondering about the current situation of his company and brothers, not knowing whether he should hurry back and expose the mastermind who used Rose to kill him. Shirley, on the other hand, was secretly watching Hao Good-Man, thinking that if she had not gotten blood on herself during the fight with the Black Lotus gang, fearing it could attract zombies, she would not have found a temporary base to clean up, nor would she have encountered this old pervert. But I don't know why I feel very peaceful when I'm with him. However, at this moment, there suddenly came the sound of rustling from outside. The man quickly opened the dojutsu for a look, only to see a large group of people slowly approaching them. In order to prevent my future wife from being taken away, there's no other way but to summon System Girl to upgrade the dojutsu and enhance strength, to resist the attack of the she-devil from the Black Lotus gang. Fortunately, I am already a nouveau riche now. I didn't hesitate at all to click on the upgrade for 10 million. Just heard a ding sound. Congratulations, host. Martial Soul Dojutsu has successfully leveled up. The functional information of Martial Soul Dojutsu has been transmitted to your memory. He felt the upgraded Martial Soul Dojutsu. Hao Good-Man instantly transformed into Super Saiyan. She looked at Hao Good-Man with such excitement. The system girl immediately became proud, brought to you by the system. Must be a top-notch product. By the way, apart from the expenditure on your recent fund upgrade, you still have 21.01 million. The next Dojutsu, Crimson Flame Dojutsu, is more powerful and costs 20 million. Do you want to continue upgrading? Upon hearing about the 20 million price, Hao Good-Man instantly became furious. He thought to himself, this system used to lend money at high interest rates, right? I'd better not level up. If I upgrade again, I won't have enough money to return to the original world. Let's talk about it after I earn some money in the future. Thinking of Hao Good-Man, he decisively waved his hand towards the system and said that he had other funds arranged. But unexpectedly, the system said that the Dojutsu has been upgraded now, and he obtained a prize called Spinner of Dojutsu, which is similar to a roulette game, with technique and art equipment as rewards. Looking around with confidence. The prizes not only include the 7-star acupoint technique zombie antidote, but also a series of divine-level props such as the Ganjiang legendary sword. As he watched, Hao Good-Man couldn't help but reach out his money-making hand and click on it. Just heard a click, and the roulette pointer started spinning wildly. Hao Good-Man stared fixedly at the screen. But the next second, he was stunned. Immediately after, he watched as flame shot up 3 feet from the scroll in his hand, thinking, I spent 2 million just to get this? What a rip-off! Hao Good-Man, feeling dissatisfied, clicked on it again. But the next second, looking at the nutrition fast line in his hand directly stunned him. Is this the combination of the single meal package? Hao Good-Man, angry and frustrated, smashed the things on the ground with one hand. By now, Hao Good-Man was already worked up. He didn't hesitate and started playing again. But when he saw the novelty lingerie in his hand, his face turned black lines, thinking that the style was not bad, but it was useless. But suddenly a scene that everyone likes to see flashed in his mind. Immediately after, he revealed a lewd expression on his face. The Black Lotus Gang, with great numbers, came for revenge. The girls knocked on Hao Good-Man's door and asked him to leave quickly, but after knocking for a long time, the door still didn't open. Due to the urgency of the situation, Shirley directly resorted to a brute force collision against the door. But at this moment, the sound of the door opening could be heard. Hao Good-Man appeared behind the door, looking at Shirley rushing towards him with a puzzled expression on his face. But with a bang, Shirley directly tackled Hao Good-Man to the ground. Shirley, who had her first intimate contact with a man, looked shy, while Hao Good-Man looked lecherous at the panicked young lady. Why aren't you getting up yet? If you don't get up, I will have to get up. Upon hearing these words, Shirley instantly understood Hao Good-Man's words and loudly scolded. You old pervert! Immediately, he twisted on Hao Good-Man's waist, causing him to cry out in pain. Amy, who was nearby, hurriedly said, Stop playing around. The members of the Black Lotus Gang are about to arrive. Seeing that they have a large number of people, their leader Lily should also be on her way. She is not easy to deal with, as she carries an assault rifle and a silenced handgun. And at this moment, Shirley has already stood up. She brushed off the dust on her body and said fiercely, Sister, your injuries were caused by them. Today, even if I have to risk my life, I will make them pay for it with blood. Hao Good-Man hurriedly stepped forward to dissuade Shirley from risking her life. Don't act impulsively. This vengeance must be avenged, but I have a way to settle the score without any harm and still come out unscathed. Although they were somewhat skeptical of Hao Good-Man's words, the young ladies eagerly asked, What method do you have? Just then, Hao Good-Man took out a bikini and exclaimed excitedly, It's the strategy of using beauty to win people over. Upon hearing about the strategy of using beauty, Amy blushed instantly, with images of herself wearing a bikini flashing in her mind constantly. Shirley, on the other hand, threw a punch at Hao Good-Man, saying, "You dress him up and use the handsome guy strategy. Anyway, my sister and I will not wear such clothes." Immediately, she followed up with a chokehold on Hao Good-Man, causing his face to turn red as he struggled to explain. "Listen to me, I didn't mean for you to wear it." At this moment, members of the Black Lotus gang had already arrived outside the room, and Choo Choo Baby was there too. It turned out that she had been following Hao Good-Man all the way and found out his current whereabouts, only to see Lily with a triumphant look on her face, loudly saying, "Everyone, keep your spirits up. Today, we'll take care of them all." Zombie was even wearing a bikini and high heels, dancing on the pole. Choo Choo and Lily rushed in, wanting to capture Hao Good-Man. They were all shocked to see the scene in front of them. They were wondering what was going on. But the next second, the female zombie jumped down from the steel pipe, revealing countless pairs of blood-red eyes behind her. Then, an uncountable number of zombies appeared behind the female zombie. Choo Choo, seeing this scene for the first time, shivered and pointed at the female zombie, saying, "Are these zombies gathering to watch her dance?" Lily, who had been ignoring the zombies all along, was also frightened and broke out in a cold sweat. At this moment, the zombies that were watching the dance also stopped. Suddenly, with a swish sound, all the zombies turned to look at the two people in unison. At this moment, Lily finally realized what was happening and shouted loudly, "Run! We've been tricked!" Immediately, she quickly loaded the AK and raised it, firing at the zombies. At this moment, a blood-soaked person staggered in from outside the door and barely managed to say, "Boss, we are surrounded by zombies." But before he could finish his sentence, she was immediately engulfed by the zombie horde. And Choo Choo's companions around her were also gradually bitten by zombies. As she watched the blood spatter on herself, Choo Choo was extremely frightened, feeling the ordeal of her companions. She covered her mouth, trembling, and said, "I don't want to die." But the next second, the companion, who was about to cool down, grabbed Choo Choo's calf and murmured, I don't want to die." This scene directly broke through Choo Choo's last psychological defense line. While Lily was still resisting the attacks of the zombies, with an AK in her hands. Most of the attacks were ineffective. The female zombie seems to have some kind of intelligence. She blocked the bullets aimed at vital points with her arms. At this time, Lily only had one magazine left, just as she was preparing to change the magazine. Choo Choo rushed up directly and punched Lily in the face, while the other hand grabbed the AK. She grumbled and said, "I've been risking my life for you for so long, and haven't gotten any benefits. I can't accept this ending. Give me the AK quickly." Lily, who was under attack, fought back desperately. "Are you crazy? If it wasn't for avenging your sister, we wouldn't have ended up like this. You useless thing. You go to hell." The female zombie coldly watches the two people fighting over the AK, thinking that the ugliness of human nature only shows at such times. It's disgusting. Let them go to hell together. Only saw the female zombie reaching for the gasoline tank. Zombies are not scary. It's scary when zombies are cultured. The female zombie in a bikini carrying a gasoline tank is running towards Choo Choo. Choo Choo loudly shouted, "Don't come over!" But the female zombie showed no signs of slowing down. In order to prevent the female zombie from approaching him, Choo Choo picked up the AK and started shooting at the female zombie. Lily, seeing this, was full of fear and shouted angrily, "Don't shoot! That mother of asterisk 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 is..." But she didn't finish her sentence. The bullets had already hit the gasoline tank. Seeing the flames erupting from the gasoline tank, Choo Choo also felt that something was terribly wrong. But it was already too late for everything. With the sound of the explosion, a massive fire erupted from the entire house. At this moment, Hao Good-Man was carrying Amy, and leading Shirley to escape quickly. But suddenly, he gave an evil smile, and his eyes emitted the same green light as the female zombie just now. At this time, the system popped up. Congratulations, the host has received 6 million gold coins. Hao Good-Man smiled happily, thinking that controlling zombies to kill zombies could also earn gold coins. This is really perfect. What he didn't know was that his expression had already appeared suspicious to Shirley. Shirley revealed a fierce expression and said, "You old pervert, don't think I don't know what you're thinking." Hao Good-Man, who was immersed in joy, didn't react at first. He turned his head and looked at Shirley in confusion. While Hao Good-Man still had a smile on his face, Shirley exploded, saying, "Stop right now, or don't blame me for being impolite." Looking at this tense atmosphere, Amy hurriedly comforted Shirley, saying, "Shirley, don't be angry. It's not necessary now, and this time the Black Lotus Gang's sneak attack was also Brother Good-Man saving us. Hearing someone speak up for oneself is comforting." Hao Good-Man quickly turned to look at Shirley and said, "Exactly, your sister is reasonable and sensible. Unlike you, who repays kindness with enmity. Can't you learn from your sister?" Shirley, who knew she was in the wrong, turned her head and thought about what it meant to repay kindness with ingratitude. It was all thanks to her gasoline that her beloved motorcycle could not be ridden. At that moment, Amy, who was lying on Hao Good-Man's back, asked in confusion, "Brother Good-Man, why did that female zombie suddenly start dancing?" Hao Good-Man chuckled and said, "It's simple. If I use my miraculous reviving acupoint technique to stimulate her governor vessel, she will involuntarily start dancing. Do you want to give it a try?" The young ladies could only look at Hao Good-Man in gloomy silence. Immediately, the two of them executed a set of moves called "Return My Awesome Punch" on Hao Good-Man. Hao Good-Man, who was hit, looked innocent. He thought to himself, "Even if I told you I could control zombies, you wouldn't believe me. Indeed, men are only honest when they are hanging on the wall. Look, the men in front of us have turned into zombies, and their nature hasn't changed. And the one who started all this is this man. Just because his martial soul dojutsu has been upgraded, he thereby gained the ability to control a zombie every 2 hours. And he can also share the controlled zombie's field of view so that he can resist the Black Lotus Gang's attack. He used his dojutsu to control a very stunning female zombie. He then used the female zombie to attract a group of male zombies to follow. And so the zombie group completely annihilated the Black Lotus Gang. And Hao Good-Man and the girls successfully escaped as well. In order to quickly reach the next destination, they risked traveling through the dangerous night. Fortunately, Hao Good-Man had the skill to control zombies, controlling one zombie to help them scout ahead. They arrived safely in the capital city as dawn broke. However, outside the gambling city, there was a tide of corpses surging. Not to mention humans, not even a fly could fly in. Hao Good-Man stared blankly at the group of zombies in front of him. Shirley walked up to him, grabbing his weapon with both hands. "I'll go draw their attention. You guys sneak in while they're distracted," she said as she prepared to battle the zombies. At this moment, a small hand grabbed her shoulder. "Let me give it a try first," the voice said. Amy walked up holding her bow and arrow. She searched for the attack position through the 8x scope installed on the bow. Suddenly, several oil barrels appeared in the scope. Amy took a deep breath and loosened her grip on the bowstring. The arrow flew past Zombie's ear at a speed of 9,999 meters per second and shot towards the oil barrel, accompanied by the sparks generated from the collision between the arrow and the barrel. A huge explosion sound echoed through the sky, and all the zombies heard the sound and went crazy running towards the explosion site. The square, which was originally flooded with corpses, became empty in an instant. Amy effortlessly solved such a difficult problem with just one shot. Hao Good-Man gave Amy a thumbs up. Shirley also looked proud beside them. She put her arm around Amy's shoulder. "Of course, it's because my sister is sick. If she gets well, she won't hesitate to go 1,000 miles away to capture the enemy general. Amy, upon hearing Shirley boasting about herself, quickly waved her hand and said, No, it's not like that. Hao Good-Man looked at the magnificent city in front of him. He sighed as the air here was filled with the smell of gold. He thought to himself that he would also get one when he returned to his original world. Just like that, the three of them came down from the rooftop. Just as they were about to enter to search for the gold, the ground began to shake violently. The sudden sound scared all three of them, and Hao Good-Man hurriedly asked the girl to hide quickly. And he cautiously stuck his head out to investigate. But when he saw the reason for the movement, it scared Hao Good-Man so much that cold sweat broke out on his back. Everyone has seen zombies before, but this giant baby-level zombie should be something new to everyone, right? Hao Good-Man was so scared of Big Head slowly approaching that he didn't dare to breathe. But suddenly, Big Head Zombie stopped in its tracks. It sat on the ground and started to have a seizure. The commotion caused by Big Head grew louder and louder. The surrounding glass windows all turned into shards. Hao Good-Man and the girls were also in unbearable pain from the commotion caused by Big Head. The noise made by Big Head gradually diminished. Shirley peeked through the window and had a frightened expression on her face. Is that an evil ghost? I heard it mutated from a regular zombie and has terrifying destructive power. It can match the strength of hundreds of ordinary zombies. I just didn't expect to encounter it here. And hearing how powerful Big Head is, Hao Good-Man picked up a stone from the ground. He bent down to look under the car. Then he pinched his index finger and flicked it lightly. The stone and the road sign made a harsh sound. Big Head, who was causing trouble not far away, instantly rushed to the side of the road sign. It carefully studied the road sign, while the zombie controlled by Hao Good-Man was holding a steel pipe standing above Big Head's head, only to see it with a chilling look in its eyes. It made a swish and jumped down from the street light, stabbing towards the back of Big Head's head. But before it could reach him, Big Head caught it with one hand in midair. Just then, Big Head exerted a little force, and the sound of bones breaking kept ringing out. The light in its eyes was slowly fading away. Big Head took the lifeless zombie in front of him and examined it. Immediately, it grabbed its clothes and threw them into its mouth. With a crisp sound, Big Head carefully savored the crunchy taste. Suddenly, it spit something out, not knowing if it had mistakenly eaten zombie shit. Hao Good-Man, hiding in the dark, watched everything, thinking that this Big Head was not just a simple-minded evil ghost with well-developed limbs. Not only was it intelligent, but it was also very fast. It was probably not something my current dojutsu could control. At this moment, the system jumped out and said, "You guessed right." He watched as the system slowly revealed itself. Hao Good-Man panicked and pointed at the system, telling her to hide quickly. And System Girl remained calm, saying, "Don't worry, they can't see me." The outside evil ghost advanced to a high-level zombie by devouring 10,000 zombies. You currently cannot control it. However, you can obtain rich rewards by killing the evil ghost. Then a temporary task appears in front of Hao Good-Man. Eliminate the evil ghost within 3 days for a special reward. This man cares more about money than his life. He actually wants to take action against this huge monster. Just because the system gave a task to kill the monster and get a generous reward, he was tempted by the reward and lost his mind. At this moment, Amy poked Hao Good-Man, who was still fantasizing about becoming rich and handsome soon. She whispered softly, suggesting, "Shouldn't we take a detour to look for gold instead?" But at this moment, Hao Good-Man's mind was only on 1 billion gold coins and a special reward. He confidently raised his thumb and pointed to himself, saying, "No, I want to find the gold, and I also want to kill this evil ghost." Then he waved his hand again and said, "If we want to find the gold, this evil ghost will always be a hidden danger." He looked at the young lady with a puzzled expression. Hao Good-Man immediately lifted the bewildered Amy over his shoulder and called out to Shirley, who was still standing in place. Don't worry, I already have a plan in mind. Come with me quickly. Let's find a safe place first to regroup. Just like that, Hao Good-Man sneaked around to the back of the casino and entered through the rear door. They cautiously avoided the group of zombies along the way and arrived at a relatively safe room near the corner. Hao Good-Man, standing at the doorway, stopped the young lady from proceeding further. He was planning to go in and check the safety of the room first. He activated his Sharingan, opened the door, and saw that everything in the room seemed normal. Suddenly, a zombie figure appeared behind the shower curtain. Hao Good-Man walked in confidently, ready to deal with it. But the next second, he slipped. Hao Good-Man immediately performed a skillful display of talent that looks just like the dances you often see from the girls you watch. Immediately followed by the sound of his painful wailing, Hao Good-Man was seen falling flat on his face. Looking at the wax on the floor, Hao Good-Man sighed with regret at his carelessness. But suddenly, an unusual sensation came from his hand. At this time, the girls also heard Hao Good-Man's wail and quickly ran in. But the scene that met their eyes directly stunned the two of them. They saw some strange things placed in the room. And Hao Good-Man is still enjoying the sensation coming from this hand, looking at Hao Good-Man with a lewd expression on his face. Shirley instantly transforms into an uncle. She directly brought a mushroom stack game to the top of Hao Good-Man's head. By the way, she also dissipated the anger of the audience's girlfriends. Facing the angry foodie girlfriend, just give her food. No matter what wrong you have done, she can forgive you. While Hao Good-Man watched Shirley enjoying her food, he waved his hand and said, "You guys eat first. I will go prepare something to deal with the evil ghost." Shirley, who was eating an apple, had completely lost her previous angry expression. She also wanted to go out and help Hao Good-Man. Hao Good-Man turned around with a confident smile and said, "No need. You stay here and protect Amy well. Let me handle the dirty and tiring work." His foodie girlfriend, upon hearing that she wasn't needed, sat back down at the edge of the bed and buried herself in eating. Only Amy stepped forward to bid Hao Good-Man farewell, waving at him and reminding him to take care of his safety. As Hao Good-Man walked out of the door, his eyes instantly lit up, thinking that it wouldn't be difficult to find the treasure vault. He decided to earn some money first to upgrade his dojutsu. He pushed open a rusty old door and walked in. In front of him was a group of hungry zombie Hao Good-Men. He looked at the scene in front of him with great excitement. But at this moment, there suddenly came the sound of the door panel breaking behind him. Hao Good-Man turned his head and saw a gray-colored Hulk standing behind him, gripping his sandbag-sized fist, staring at him fiercely. Then, it punched towards him. But when it was only 0.1 millimeters away from Hao Good-Man's face, it suddenly stopped. It turns out that Hao Good-Man used dojutsu to control him. Just saw the Hulk showing a wise look in his eyes, still babbling in his mouth, following a command from Hao Good-Man. The Hulk ran towards the zombie horde like a giant bulldozer. It knocked down the zombies blocking its path. Feeling the Hulk's monster-clearing ability, Hao Good-Man's eyes lit up. He thought to himself that if he had a team of employees like this, becoming the world's richest man would be just around the corner. But as a time management master, he didn't slack off at all. While the Hulk was clearing monsters, he embarked on the journey to find the treasury. However, after searching through several nearby buildings, he didn't even find a single coin. Just as he was heading back home, a very luxurious office suddenly appeared in front of him. Hao Good-Man's eyes lit up. Is the vault inside here? He activated his dojutsu and walked up to a portrait. When he saw a mysterious switch behind the portrait, he immediately pressed it. Immediately after that, the nearby bookshelf slowly opened. Then a path leading to the safe appeared. It was thought that there was a large amount of gold in the safe. But he used all his tricks to pass through the obstacles. He only found an envelope in the safe, and upon seeing this scene, Hao Good-Man's state of mind instantly exploded. He was seen showing a look of indignation, clenching his fist. He thought to himself, "I want to see what kind of envelope it is." Is it worth going to such great lengths to hide it? He was seen using all his strength to throw a punch. He arrived at the envelope with a dark expression on his face. But the next second, upon seeing the contents of the envelope, he immediately took on the appearance of second senior brother. The man couldn't wait to open the envelope. But the scene that met his eyes left him speechless. Hao Good-Man is in a state of panic. He was just about to tear up the photo when the system popped up. The zombie you controlled has been killed, but has earned you a lot of gold coins. He looked at the balance in his account, and immediately requested the system to upgrade his dojutsu. With a purple light sweeping across his entire body, Hao Good-Man instantly felt the immensely powerful upgraded dojutsu, looking excited. The system popped up a notification that your upgraded dojutsu, named Crimson Flame Dojutsu, has gained the ability to control 2 zombies simultaneously, and also acquired the dojutsu of the Hawk and Falcon. Hearing that you can control 2 zombies simultaneously, Hao Good-Man's mind is once again filled with wild thoughts. He then excitedly asked the system, "What abilities does the dojutsu of the Hawk and Falcon have?" Only to see the young lady blushing and saying, "That's something you'll have to research on your own." But suddenly, she revealed a mischievous expression and said, "This time, after upgrading your dojutsu, it triggers a new feature, a 10-pull gacha. With a 10 pull, you have a higher chance of obtaining rare treasures compared to a single pull. Do you want to give it a try?" Hao Good-Man had a sudden inspiration. He thought to himself, as a big spender, of course he had to draw. But the next moment, looking at the items that popped up, Hao Good-Man was completely dumbfounded. Even the young lady almost sprayed her breakfast out. Hao Good-Man squatted on the ground, searching for the items that popped out. But when he saw that the system actually gave him a finished durian, his brows furrowed. The system, seeing Hao Good-Man's frustration, revealed a sly expression, hurriedly coughed twice to interrupt the awkward atmosphere. "Why don't you continue searching? There may be other good things." At this moment, something caught Hao Good-Man's eye. He picked it up, thinking to himself that although this couldn't cure Amy's illness, but it can still provide relief, right? After he put away the ointment, a box caught Hao Good-Man's attention. Just like this, Hao Good-Man prepared to head back home with bags in tow. He just used Mangekyo Sharingan to dodge the Gatling gun's barrage and effortlessly controlled 2 eyeless zombies. He thought he could return to the base happily. Unexpectedly, Evil Ghost suddenly appeared from halfway and blocked the man's way. Hao Good-Man immediately gathered up his belongings. He thought to himself, "I didn't come looking for you, yet you delivered yourself to my door." But Evil Ghost didn't care about that at all. He immediately threw a punch towards Hao Good-Man, causing rubble to fly and dust to fill the air at the spot where Hao Good-Man stood. Wait for the dust to settle. Hao Good-Man stood there unscathed. Shortly after, he revealed a fierce expression and wanted to give Evil Ghost a good beating. But then, a roar of engines interrupted Hao Good-Man's actions, only to see a modified post-apocalyptic armored vehicle quickly approaching him, drifting to a stop right next to Hao Good-Man. Immediately, the door was opened, and an uncle with a stubbly beard waved at Hao Good-Man, urging him to hurry up and get in. Although Hao Good-Man felt that something was a bit off. However, he still got in the car and drove away, while the Hao Good-Man in the car was expressing his thanks to the uncle. But the evil ghost behind them won't give them a chance to chat peacefully. The evil ghost behind will not give them a chance to chat. Hao Good-Man saw the evil ghost chasing after him aggressively. He easily lifted the old man from the driver's seat. While Hao Good-Man's hand was resting on the steering wheel, he immediately stepped on the gas pedal. The uncle next to him was so scared that he let out a pig-like scream. That's how Hao Good-Man drove his car recklessly on the road to the end of the world. And the Hulk was chasing after him relentlessly. It turned the already dilapidated city into a complete mess. Watching evil ghost Hao Good-Man, who couldn't catch up with himself, even poked his head out with a mocking expression. The exhausted evil ghost, panting heavily, saw the expression on Hao Good-Man's face. It instantly rushed up, as if it had been injected with chicken blood. He looked at the evil ghost that was about to catch up. Hao Good-Man remained calm and entered the tunnel with a quick acceleration. Evil ghost got stuck at the entrance of the tunnel with a single slip and couldn't move. Just when they thought they were safe, they didn't expect evil ghost's umbilical cord to be able to extend. It charged towards Hao Good-Man. Fortunately, Hao Good-Man's driving skills were superb, and he successfully avoided all the attacks. After the car rushed out of the tunnel. After successfully using falling rocks to trap evil ghost by its umbilical cord and reaching a safe position, the uncle immediately leaned against the wall and started vomiting. Meanwhile, Hao Good-Man was sitting comfortably at the front of the car, looking puzzled, and asked, "Why do you live here? This is evil ghost's territory." The uncle finally finished his explanation of his suffering, saying, "It's precisely because of this that there are few zombies nearby, so we only need to beware of evil ghost." After exchanging information, the uncle brought Hao Good-Man home and prepared food for him. This nouveau riche actually wants me to be the son-in-law who visits his house. Just because men are rare in the post-apocalyptic world, he wants to betroth all 3 of his daughters to me. He even promised that as long as I move in with his family, he ensures that I am well fed every day with the rare food in the post-apocalyptic world. Just as Hao Good-Man hesitated, his 3 daughters surrounded him. Comparison time. Hao Good-Man was embraced on both sides, enjoying an emperor-like treatment. Feeling the warmth of his sisters, Hao Good-Man was delighted. But the next second, he suddenly changed his expression and said to the chubby person, "Forget it. These junk foods from the end of the world are not nutritious at all. Besides, with 3 wives, my body can't handle it. You know what I mean?" When he heard Hao Good-Man's words, the chubby person showed an incredulous expression. The young man couldn't be joking, right? No one can resist such a good opportunity. Do you have any concerns? If you have family or companions, you can bring them along. We will be family from now on. Seeing the wicked expression on the chubby person's face, Hao Good-Man showed a face of certainty. Yes, the target of this old pervert is surely Amy. Otherwise, he would never have saved me, a stranger, under the eyes of evil ghost. He also mentioned that even with evil ghost's abilities, it would be impossible for people to live safely in this position. And when he entered, he noticed that the girl had many bruises on her body. Based on the above observations, it is clear that this family is definitely not as harmonious as it appears on the surface. The good man then activated his dojutsu and began to search the room. When he saw the array of various torture devices hanging in the room, he cursed in his heart. This old pervert is really a big freak actually doing such things. But suddenly, the figure of evil ghost appeared outside the house. At this moment, the voice of the fat guy interrupted Hao Good-Man's actions. "Young man, what do you think?" Looking at the confident fat guy, Hao Good-Man raised his thumbs and pointed at himself. "Your offer is very tempting, but I still prefer to be an otaku in the apocalypse." After saying that, Hao Good-Man opened the door and walked out of the room. Meanwhile, on the balcony, the girl looked at the fat guy with a frightened expression and shivering, she said, "He won't find out, will he?" But what greeted her was a big slap from the fat guy. "You useless thing, can't even keep a man." She saw him loosen his tie and the girl quickly approached, begging the fat guy for another chance. But the fat guy ignored the girl's plea. He directly told evil ghost that he would eat her. This uncouth person neither knew how to respect women nor showed any sympathy. He not only slapped the girl in the face, he even ordered evil ghost to eat the girl. The girl next to him was so scared when she saw this scene that she covered her mouth and shivered. However, the fat guy didn't care at all about their gaze. He confidently stepped onto evil ghost's shoulder. "I treated him with delicious food, drinks, and fun, but I didn't expect him to be so unappreciative and not bring those 2 girls over. No choice. Since being gentle doesn't work, don't blame me for being tough." I saw the fat guy directing evil ghost to quickly catch up. As Hao Good-Man was walking back, he suddenly heard a rustling sound near his ear. He quickly walked towards the alley. At that moment, evil ghost's umbilical cord appeared at the spot where Hao Good-Man had just been, searching all around for something. Suddenly, the two zombies controlled by Hao Good-Man appeared in front of him. Seeing the zombies strike a menacing pose, Evil Ghost was shocked. But the next second, a whip from the navel directly separated the zombies. The fat man was furious because Evil Ghost failed to find Hao Good-Man. He directly arranged a supreme package of 9 nines for the Evil Ghost. He didn't stop until he was tired. Shortly after, he showed a fierce expression again, directing Evil Ghost to move forward. Meanwhile, Hao Good-Man, who had escaped the pursuit, was walking back. Suddenly, a photo appeared in his hand. Hao Good-Man took a closer look. This is the other half of the photo he found in the safe. Suddenly, a magical idea flashed through his mind. He put the photo into his pocket and walked towards the base. Upon returning to the base, Hao Good-Man told Shirley Amy about his experiences. Shirley was panicked when she heard this and quickly covered his mouth, telling him to be quiet. She then looked at Hao Good-Man and asked what to do next. Hao Good-Man took out the medicine obtained from the big turntable. Hurry up and administer the medicine. Once it's done, we will leave here. He's looking at the girls with hearts in his eyes. Don't just focus on the medicine, I also have a precious item here. He then took out the box as he spoke. Amy held the sniper rifle lovingly and eagerly asked Hao Good-Man where it came from. Hao Good-Man looked bewildered and beckoned the young lady to come closer. This is confidential. You can't tell anyone. Then he started acting like a rogue. These were all taken out of my crotch. If you don't believe me, you can try it. Hao Good-Man boasted proudly that he had many big treasures in his crotch. The next second, he was dragged into a corner by Shirley, who was holding a truncheon, and was madly attacked. Even the always understanding Amy couldn't bear to watch, holding up a sign urging Shirley to increase the intensity. After tidying up Hao Good-Man, Shirley is giving medicine to her sister. Amy was seen with a painful expression, but suddenly the house started shaking violently. Hao Good-Man quickly activated his dojutsu to see what was going on, only to see the fat man directing the evil ghost to slowly approach Hao Good-Man. Suddenly, the evil ghost stopped in its tracks. He opened his mouth, which hadn't been brushed for 10 years, and took a fierce breath. This breath almost suffocated them. Evil Ghost was seen tightly holding the fat man inside. The umbilical cord kept swinging in the air. Suddenly, it opened its big mouth and emitted a dazzling light beam, causing the surrounding glass to shatter one by one. Hao Good-Man looked puzzled at the raging evil ghost. The next moment, he directly activated his Mangekyo Sharingan. Just as they watched, the sound waves they emitted slowly drifted towards the evil ghost. Hao Good-Man was shocked because the evil ghost had already discovered their location and was quickly running towards them, in order for Hao Good-Man to lead the injured Amy to leave first. Shirley unexpectedly rushed out alone. Facing the powerful evil ghost, Shirley was completely powerless. She could only use escaping to buy some time. The chubby man, behaving like Shu Beiji, seemed incredibly excited, his mind filled with who knows what. Watching Shirley running away, the chubby man directed the evil ghost to reach out its hand towards her. The sound of Shirley's cries for help could be heard in the air. But when the evil ghost opened its palm, it found no one there. The chubby man looked puzzled and quickly instructed the evil ghost to search for her. Finally, at the entrance of a square, a figure of a person running away was spotted. Watching Shirley walking into a dead end, the chubby man confidently directed the evil ghost to let her go. He then opened the belt with a flashlight attached and walked towards the dead end. As he ventured deeper into the pitch-black basement, his face beaming with a sly smile, suddenly a figure interrupted his progress. The fatty grabbed her shoulder, but then a pair of hands covered his eyes. Looking at the handkerchief, the fatty thought Shirley had come to her senses. Just then, a strange smell wafted from the handkerchief, leaving the fatty puzzled. Shirley gave the fatty a big slap, sending him flying 99 meters away. The severely injured fatty sat on the ground with a face full of grievances, saying, Your strength is so great! He thought he was chasing after a girl he liked, but never expected that she was actually a cross-dressing badass. The fatty looked at the man in front of him in extreme fear, afraid of what he might do to him. And Good-Man Hao flashed a playful expression, saying, "Brother Fatty, how can you not even recognize your little brother?" It was only then that Fatty suddenly realized, "Are you guys the ones who switched the goods in the alley?" "Wow. You're not too bright either." He looked at Hao Good-Man's smug expression. The fat man grinned and yelled loudly at the evil ghost, "Butcher him for me!" Hao Good-Man remained completely calm, allowing the stones from the ceiling to fall beside him. At this moment, evil ghost finally broke through the roof and punched towards Hao Good-Man, the fist getting close to touching Hao Good-Man. The fat man who was punched into a pig head looked excited, but the next second, the spot where Hao Good-Man was standing was now occupied by a set of JK outfit. Evil ghost stared ahead with its blood-red eyes wide open. It turned out that Hao Good-Man walked out wearing sexy clothes, striking a seductive pose. The fat man looked flustered and said, "Are you gay?" But when he turned his head, he found that evil ghost's eyes were filled with infatuation, leaving the fat man dumbfounded. And at this moment, Hao Good-Man summoned a durian shell with his mind and threw it in front of the fat man. Next, he made a move that disgusted even the zombies. The fat man thought it was directed at him, so he hurriedly crossed his hands in front of his chest in fear. But when Hao Good-Man heard evil ghost telling him to kneel down, the fat man covered his face and laughed like a pig. Then he looked smug and said, "Do you think anyone can control evil ghost?" But the next second, he was lifted up directly by evil ghost. It pressed him directly onto the durian shell, only to see the fat man's expression contorted, making pig-like squeals. Hao Good-Man looked at the chubby face in pain. He launched a new round of attacks on evil ghost, who instantly laughed like a little child. He grabbed the fat man and threw him to the ground, while Hao Good-Man took a small leather whip and stepped on the fat man's buttocks. The fat man was so scared that he asked Hao Good-Man in a hurry, "What are you going to do?" But the next second, he felt like his chest was about to burst open. With Hao Good-Man's crazy output, the fat man lay in unbearable pain on the ground, in order to teach this perverted parvenu Hao Good-Man a lesson to fight fire with fire. He nearly whipped him until his ribs burst. Hao Good-Man stopped only when the parvenu lay on the ground motionless. Hao Good-Man smirked devilishly as he held the whip. "You like to play, don't you? I bet you have a lot of these toys at home," he said. The fat man trembled in fear. "How did you know? If you want, I can marry my daughter to you. Please don't hit me again," he begged. Seeing the man on the verge of exploding, Hao Good-Man's face immediately darkened. He looked at the sweating fat man. "Your wife and daughter are survivors you manipulated and abused. But I'm not interested in that. Tell me, how do you command evil ghost?" The fat man's face darkened. Reluctant to speak, but remembering that Lychee had almost been beaten to death just now, he still spilled the beans. It turns out the fat man used to be a security guard, working just to get off work. If you like him, give him a thumbs up. Off topic. It turns out that when the fat man and his companion came to the casino to look for food and found nothing, he saw a suit worn by a wealthy person. He wanted to try what it feels like to be wealthy, so he changed into the clothes. But just as he changed into the clothes, the ground suddenly experienced a violent tremor. Soon after, evil ghost appeared in front of him and reached out towards the fat man. The fat man was so scared that he was at a loss for words, thinking he was about to die. But unexpectedly, evil ghost just patted his head and left. Later, he found out that as long as he wore this suit, evil ghost would not harm him. Even just adjusting the tie, evil ghost would obey all his commands. Hearing this, Hao Good-Man took out a photo and placed it in front of the fat man. He looked at the child in the photo. The fat man showed a surprised look. "Is this the appearance before evil ghost mutated?" "Yes, you put on his father's suit along with familiar movements, so he mistook you for his own father." Fatty suddenly realized, so you could order the evil ghost as well because of this dress and actions imitating his mother. The enlightened fatty hurriedly knelt down and begged for mercy from Hao Good-Man. He looked at the chubby guy who was trying to slip away slowly. Hao Good-Man walked slowly over. "Whether you are good or bad, I don't care, but you shouldn't pay attention to my woman." Hao Good-Man's face turned fierce, clenched his fist the size of a sandbag, and approached the man. But the chubby guy took out a bottle of green potion from nowhere, gulped it down in one go. The nouveau riche just drank a small bottle of fat otaku happy water. Did not expect him to face Hao Good-Man's full force blow. Even though his heart was pierced, he was surprisingly unharmed. Hao Good-Man looked at the bottle in his hand in confusion. He didn't expect to find such a magical drink in the apocalypse. Meanwhile, the fat man's wound was slowly healing, and he looked smugly at Hao Good-Man, saying, "Young man, you are impressive. You actually made me use this thing. Since we've come to this point, you must die here today." Saying this, the fat man rushed towards Hao Good-Man, but Hao Good-Man remained calm and unruffled. After dodging the fat man's attack, he punched towards the fat man's pig head. The fat man's pig head exploded instantly, splattering everywhere like cow dung with firecrackers inserted in it. But at this moment, the fat man had an undying body. He grabbed Hao Good-Man tightly, holding onto his clothes with both hands. Hao Good-Man, who sensed that the fat man was still alive, felt nauseous. He kicked him out with one kick. The fat guy spun in the air for 360 degrees before finally coming to a stop. Sitting on the ground, he was already panting with exhaustion, but the next moment, he unexpectedly revealed a triumphant smile. He took out the clothes he had just torn from Hao Good-Man and said, "You've been fooled." Then he immediately tore the clothes into shreds. Hao Good-Man was taken aback when he looked behind and saw that a piece of woman's clothing was missing from his back. Hao Good-Man suddenly realized that you pretended to have a life-and-death battle with him, but actually wanted to damage his pajamas to regain control of Evil Ghost. Looking at the fat man's already restored pig head, Hao Good-Man fell into contemplation. He didn't expect that such a drink could regenerate heads. But the fat man didn't give Hao Good-Man more time to think. He directly summoned the evil ghost over, grabbed his tie, and shouted loudly, "Evil Ghost, kill him for me!" Hao Good-Man sneered, "I still want to play a little more. Since you are in a hurry to leave, I'll help you out." Following that, Hao Good-Man activated his Mangekyo Sharingan. At this moment, the attack from Evil Ghost has already smashed over. But its attack was dodged by Hao Good-Man with a swift move after activating the dojutsu. Hao Good-Man sees Evil Ghost's attack as slow as a koala's movements. He swiftly shuttles through the gaps at Evil Ghost's attack spot with ease, facing the Evil Ghost wielding a machine gun made of umbilical cords. Hao Good-Man, who possesses the Sharingan, saw through all its attacks. Only saw Hao Good-Man grab the third eye of Evil Ghost and gently apply force. The eye on the umbilical cord instantly turned red. Sensing the situation of his third eye, Evil Ghost became furious. It threw a punch at Hao Good-Man in anger. Avoiding the attack, Hao Good-Man held onto the umbilical cord with one hand, looking disdainfully at Evil Ghost's limited moves. "It's my turn next." Hao Good-Man dashed out like a bullet while saying this. He dragged the umbilical cord around Evil Ghost's hand a few times, then flew towards Evil Ghost's head. He directly used the umbilical cord to strangle Evil Ghost's neck. He also tied a knot in the umbilical cord. That guy watched the fight between Evil Ghost and the one who had the upper hand, Hao Good-Man, with cold sweat running down his face, thinking about how powerful this weirdo was. Suddenly, that guy felt that the effect of his invincible drug was about to disappear. He hurriedly walked towards the door, wanting to escape quickly. But Shirley suddenly rushed past him, giving him a slash on the waist in passing. Feeling like his waist almost fell off, that guy turned his head to look at Shirley. But the pain from his body made him suddenly furious. "You stinky woman, although I can regenerate, being slashed still hurts." But just as he ran halfway, a piercing armor-piercing bullet went through the fat man's body. Seeing himself suddenly lose 99 pounds, the fat man showed an incredulous expression. "This weight loss speed is too fast, isn't it?" But when he saw Amy holding a sniper rifle, he said in a frightened expression, "How come you have a sniper rifle?" But what greeted him was a sharp long sword. "You better worry about your life first, good man. Big Brother has said that you can only leave here sideways today." Before they knew it, the fat man, who had slimmed down in the blink of an eye, suddenly ballooned back to his original weight. The two men watched as the fat man recovered. Shirley widened her eyes, thinking, "If my sister drinks that potion, she will be able to heal her infected wound." Then, Shirley stared fiercely at the fat man, questioning him about the origin of the potion. The fat man smirked and said, "It's a great thing, no matter what injury you have. As long as you drink it, you'll be healed. Just let me go, and I'll give it to you." Suddenly, the fat man's heart started beating rapidly, and he grimaced in pain as he felt the ache in his heart. Is this the side effect that person mentioned? It seems like the potion's effects are wearing off. I must escape from here immediately. But suddenly there came a piercing, burning sensation in his hand, only to see the fat man uncontrollably emit a loud scream. Thought that wrapping an umbilical cord around the neck could control evil ghost. Did not expect that he is ruthless. He directly tore off his own umbilical cord with his hands. Seeing the broken cord, evil ghost became extremely angry and chased after Hao Good-Man, relentlessly attacking him. Hao Good-Man was not to be outdone. He followed evil ghost's arm and arrived at evil ghost's shoulder in no time, then activated his Mangekyo Sharingan. He clenched his sandbag-sized fist and punched evil ghost's pig head. With a loud bang, the evil ghost with a shriveled brain lay motionless on the ground. It was thought that evil ghost would never wake up, but unexpectedly, his wounds emitted a sizzling sound of electricity, followed by rapidly visible healing at a remarkable speed. Watching evil ghost's tenacious vitality was astonishing. Hao Good-Man's face darkened. "Wait for me to move your head. Let's see if you can regenerate again." With that thought, he launched a fierce attack against evil ghost. But the attack was easily blocked by evil ghost with his hand. Hao Good-Man looked at the increasingly clever evil ghost. Hao Good-Man possessed Sasuke Uchiha. He used Ojutsu to control two zombies circling around the evil ghost, making the evil ghost feel manipulated and furious. It bombarded the two little Gargas wildly. But the little Gargas moved as if possessed by Usain Bolt, their speed leaving the evil ghost in the dust, and even striking Usain Bolt's signature pose. As little Gargas continued to provoke, the evil ghost lost control out of anger. Upon seeing another zombie climbing onto his shoulder, the enraged evil ghost slapped it away with the strength of a starving ghost. But what followed was a catastrophic cervical spine fracture. Seizing the opportunity, Hao Good-Man flew towards the evil ghost like a bullet. In the blink of an eye, he arrived at the evil ghost's shoulder. Hao Good-Man was seen gripping energy in both hands. He unleashed a set of Pegasus Meteor Fist, crazily attacking the evil ghost's head. 0.1 seconds later, Hao Good-Man pierced through the evil ghost's skull, and the evil ghost lay motionless on the ground. At this moment, Shirley, not far away, was shouting for Hao Good-Man to come over quickly. When Hao Good-Man walked over, only to see the fat guy turned into a strange creature that was half human and half ghost, while at this time, the fat guy was still muttering to himself. "Didn't that person tell me the side effects were just muscle atrophy? Why did it turn out like this?" At this moment, Hao Good-Man came to the fat guy's side. He took out the bottle of joyful water and asked the fat guy who gave it to him. However, the fat guy had been severely corroded by the joyful water, continuously vomiting unidentified fluids onto the ground. He kept saying, "I need to go find him." Hao Good-Man's face darkened. "Who is he? Is he the person who gave you the potion? Where is he?" But at this moment, the fat guy had already been completely eroded by the happy water. His whole person had turned into a look that was neither human nor ghost. The man just drank a small bottle of fat otaku happy water, and turned into a look that was neither human nor ghost. He not only became confused and talked incoherently, he didn't even know to escape when the house collapsed. When the evil ghost, who he mistook for his father, reached out to him, he thought the evil ghost wanted to kill him. Watching the man at this moment, even the evil ghost shed tears of sadness. But as the house collapsed, the two of them were also forever buried in its ruins. And the escaped Hao Good-Man looked at the scene in front of him, lost in thought. But the next second, the massive dice in front of him showed numerous cracks, and the cracks grew bigger and bigger. Blinding light shone out from the cracks. In order to find out the reason, Hao Good-Man walked towards the dice. Amy looked at a glowing spot, where a huge safe door appeared. She wondered how to open it, and the next second Shirley took a knife and struck the safe. The knife immediately broke into several pieces. Shirley looked in astonishment at the broken knife in front of her. Hao Good-Man looked at the two brainless women with big breasts. He pushed them away with one swift motion. He loosened up his muscles and prepared to go up and make a scene, watching his moves. I didn't expect the shameless person is actually entering a password. Shirley and Amy looked at the photo with a puzzled expression. But when they saw the password behind the photo, they suddenly realized. As Hao Good-Man finished entering the password, there was only a click, and the door of the safe slowly opened. Immediately, a large amount of gold appeared in front of Hao Good-Man. Hao Good-Man's eyes sparkled with excitement as he exclaimed, "Truly worthy of the casino vault! This should be enough for me to return to the original world." But Amy's voice interrupted Hao Good-Man's thoughts. "Big brother Good-Man, how did you know the password for the safe?" Hao Good-Man handed over the photo and explained. "After the outbreak of the apocalypse virus, the casino owner wanted to stockpile gold to make a comeback once the virus was eradicated. He wrote the code to open the safe on the photo, and then tore the photo in half. One half is hidden in the secret room in the office, and the other half is tucked into his suit pocket. After the suit was worn by a fat man, and the half photo was taken away, he didn't even care about that missing half. In a twist of fate, he happened to obtain the passwords to the two photos." But Amy was still puzzled about what Hao Good-Man wanted the gold for. After all, in the apocalypse, this gold was worthless, not even as precious as a bottle of mineral water. But they did not know that this gold could allow Hao Good-Man to exchange for all the items they desired. The man simply touched the gold in front of him, not expecting the gold to rapidly dissipate before his eyes. Surely Amy next to him was stunned by this scene, thinking that Hao Good-Man was the reincarnation of a great magician. Hao Good-Man, however, did not think so. He looked at the skyrocketing balance in his account, turned to look at the young ladies, and said, "No need to pretend. I'm coming clean. I'm actually a billionaire who crossed over from another world." The young ladies found it hard to believe what Hao Good-Man said, but couldn't explain the uneaten food and the disappearing gold. Suddenly, the air fell silent. Amy timidly walked up and asked, "Are you seeking the gold to return to your original world?" But before Hao Good-Man could reply, Shirley asked eagerly, "Will you come back again?" Looking afraid of losing herself, Shirley sought reassurance. Hao Good-Man patted Shirley's head, showing a loving expression. "Of course, my girl is still here. How could I not come back?" Amy, who was standing by the side, was sweetened by these words. She blushed and covered her mouth. And Shirley was also made shy beyond measure. But the next second, she changed her expression completely. He saw Shirley's expression, and Hao Good-Man felt very uneasy. But his feet seemed to be firmly locked to the ground, unable to move. He was directly taken down by Shirley with a cross-kill move. Even a man could not do that. In order to stay away from this hot-tempered woman, Hao Good-Man sat on a high place holding a tuft of grass, watching Shirley, who was still angry. Hao Good-Man showed a playful expression on his face. "The sun has risen. Why are you still reluctant to come out?" Just then, with a swish sound, a pair of little hands reached out from the soil. The sudden sound startled Shirley. "I saw a small zombie being pulled out from the mud." It shot towards Hao Good-Man like a bullet. The little sisters were all shocked to see such a fast-moving zombie. The two shouted to warn Hao Good-Man to be careful. Hao Good-Man looked on with cold eyes. He directly grabbed Zombie's neck with one hand. Little Zombie struggled desperately, looking at the little zombie still whimpering. Hao Good-Man smirked devilishly. Little evil ghost is not bad at all. Even though he has become so small, he still has such great strength. Upon hearing that Evil Ghost is a child, the sisters of Evil Ghost looked puzzled. Wasn't Evil Ghost supposed to be super big? How did he become so small? He was originally this small. His giant form was just his ability. When I saw the baby inside his body at Fatso's house before, I felt it wasn't that simple. He will obey our commands like a child, which indicates that this baby is the true form of Evil Ghost. I originally wanted to research the relationship between Evil Ghost and that regenerative happy water, but the building collapsed too quickly. So, little Evil Ghost, tell me everything you know. Is this what they call happy to be a father in Legends? The man only gave this little zombie a pacifier. I didn't expect the little zombie to directly scream, "Mom," at the man. It even jumped into the man's arms wanting a hug. Just a second ago, it looked like it wanted to dig into its own belly. Now, zombie Hao Good-Man, who had spit on himself earlier, looked disgusted and refused to let the other zombie get close to him. Shirley Amy, on the other hand, was gloating. Indeed, where there's milk, there's Mom. If it doesn't bite people, I will definitely be its godmother. Hao Good-Man was furious upon hearing their words. He showed a fierce expression, wanting to appease little zombie. He then scolded little zombie, telling him not to bite people in the future, or else he won't have pacifiers to eat. Surprisingly, little zombie seemed to understand, as he immediately quieted down. Seeing how obedient little zombie was, Shirley's maternal love overflowed, hoping that Hao Good-Man would keep him. He thought that keeping little zombie could help him chop zombies. But killing him can get the system reward. Hao Good-Man is hesitating endlessly. Just at this moment, the system suddenly popped up. Congratulations to the host for using their personal charm to win over Evil Ghost and overachieve the task. The 1 billion reward has been credited to your account, and additional reward conditions have been activated. The system is now upgrading for you. For this sudden surprise, Hao Good-Man was completely baffled, but the system didn't give him a chance to react. He directly presented Hao Good-Man with 3 options after the system upgrade. The first option is to pick up external attribute plugins. He can directly collect the attribute points dropped by monsters to enhance his own attributes. The second option is to have an exclusive underground dungeon. You can take shelter there, and also secretly get stronger by leveling up and fighting monsters. The third option is the favorite feature of men, building your own female team in the end times. Capturing a female to become a member of the team will bring abundant rewards, but you can only recruit up to 99 members. From now on, start the countdown. You have only 5 minutes to make your choice. System Girl was interrupted by Hao Good-Man before she could finish her sentence. The next second, Hao Good-Man transformed into a domineering CEO and decisively chose the third option. He said solemnly, "Forming a girl group is the mature choice of a mature man." Looking at Hao Good-Man at this moment, the system showed a caring and sympathetic look, as if looking at a mentally challenged person. After the system upgrade, you will be able to see the favorability level of all women. When someone reaches a favorability level of 100, you can choose whether to include her in the girl group. And girl group members can also enjoy the protection and rewards of the system. Hao Good-Man was so overjoyed to hear this. Isn't this tailor-made for me? Originally thought that being promoted to a father was something men couldn't accept. Didn't expect the system to actually provide special rewards. As long as the girl's affection level towards oneself reaches 100. He can directly take them in as concubines. In addition, the system also gave the man a room that bachelors love the most. Hao Good-Man looked at the room filled with all sorts of goodies. He thought about the future life was like a mischievous husky, and he excitedly flopped onto the sofa. At this time, the system popped up a message. Detected Evil Ghost's affection level toward the host has reached 100. Should we include her in the girl group? Seeing this message, even the goddess of system didn't expect Evil Ghost to be a little girl. But Hao Good-Man's lips curled up slightly, and he immediately clicked on the confirmation. The screen then displayed the information of the girl group members. Young Evil Ghost Childhood Stage Level 1 Skills. Parasitic Evil Eye Level 1, Disguise Level 1, Sonic Scan Level 1. Congratulations to the host for recruiting the first girl group member. You will soon receive the following rewards: 50 pounds of fresh pork, 50 pounds of fresh beef, 2 rechargeable batteries, 1 bottle of ability plundering serum, and 1 unidentified crystal. He looked at the syringe in his hand. Hao Good-Man looked puzzled. Could this be used to extract the abilities from zombies or evil ghosts? Congratulations, you guessed it right. The extracted abilities can be injected into a person to grant them superpowers. Hao Good-Man suddenly realized, then that fat guy drinks the happy water, it should be something similar to this, right? No, no, no. This is not the kind of low-quality product with side effects. Looking at the system's arrogant expression, Hao Good-Man took out the crystal again and asked what this thing was. The goddess of systems smiled wickedly. This is something you need to explore on your own. Hao Good-Man didn't bother thinking too much either. He directly threw the crystal into the meat box. System Girl looks at Hao Good-Man's coin balance. Goddess of System asks Hao Good-Man if he wants to open the gate to return to the original world now. Hao Good-Man shook his head, thinking that he hasn't settled Shirley and Amy yet. The conversation with the system ended. The first person Hao Good-Man saw when he returned to reality was the leader of his girl group. When he looked at Shirley and Amy again, he found that their positive feelings towards him had unexpectedly reached over 80. Thinking that although they had only been together for a few days, it was reasonable for them to have such high positive feelings since they had been through life and death situations together. Then he clenched his fist tightly, thinking to herself, when I come back, I must include them in the girl group. The evil ghost behind her also clenched its fist. It really looks like a case of husband and wife acting in harmony. Surely Amy was speechless when she saw the behavior of the two of them. She thought they might have bumped their heads during a previous fight and become silly. In order to prevent them from continuing to act silly, she decided to intervene. Shirley stepped forward to interrupt them and suggested giving Little Evil Ghost a name. He looked at Shirley with an expectant expression, then glanced at Little Evil Ghost with a silly look on its face. Hao Good-Man had a bright idea, so let's call him Hao So Sweet. He played with Hao So Sweet for a while. Good-Man told Hao So Sweet to listen to his sisters when he's not around. He also told Shirley Amy that he was going back. However, there is one important thing to take care of before going back. A woman actually resorted to harming her close girlfriend in order to gain favor. Just because her good girlfriend wanted to help her escape from the clutches of that evil fatso. She pretended to agree on the surface, but secretly held a wine bottle, planning to attack the short-haired sister. After she succeeded in her sneak attack, the girl with short hair did not retaliate after the successful sneak attack. Instead, she asked the woman why she was still fighting for favor at this time. However, the woman did not answer her question but scolded the girl with short hair sternly, saying, Fatty spoils you so much, and yet you still want to run away. I'm not fighting for favor, I'm fighting for resources. You fool! Food is scarce now. If you die, I can live longer. You are a woman who doesn't appreciate the good fortune you're in. In this apocalyptic world, without Fatty, you would have long been dead. Hearing these words, the girl with short hair was so angry that she gritted her teeth and said, If this is called living, then I would rather die outside. Forget it. Just give me Fatty's car keys, and I'll go on my own. Upon hearing that the girl with short hair wanted the car keys, the woman clenched her fists. The next moment, she showed a fierce and menacing expression and charged directly towards the girl. The girl with short hair chose not to fight back, but simply kept retreating. But then she suddenly slipped under her feet. The young lady who lost her balance still had a wound on her shoulder from the woman, seeing that the young lady had no way out. The woman pressed her advantage and pursued. Fortunately, her attack was blocked by the young lady, and she was not stabbed in the waist. But at this moment, the young lady was like a dying swan. Just as the two were at a stalemate, Hao Good-Man arrived with Hao So Sweet at the door. He kicked open the tightly closed door, trapping the two women directly in the door crack, unable to move. He looked at the empty room. Hao Good-Man and Hao So Sweet looked puzzled. But when they turned their heads and saw these two women embracing each other, they thought they were doing something inappropriate. But the next second, the woman knelt on the ground, only to see a 7-inch deep dagger stab into her chest. The girl with short hair breathed a sigh of relief when she saw that the newcomer was Hao Good-Man, but suddenly realized that the fat man might be right behind Hao Good-Man. She went crazy and ran towards the door, but stopped when she heard Hao Good-Man say that the fat man was dead. She stopped in her tracks, her face showing a shocked expression. She couldn't believe that the fat man possessing the evil ghost had died. I took advantage of the woman's vulnerability. I never expected her to actually say to me, "Well done on the kill. That perverted bastard deserved to die." Originally, the woman was captured and imprisoned here by the fat guy. Although the fat guy will provide her with precious food in the apocalypse. But the fat guy's perverted preferences make the woman always want to escape from here. When seeing Hao Good-Man suddenly visit, the woman thought that Hao Good-Man was here to take her away. But when she found out that Hao Good-Man was here to understand happy water, the woman was slightly disappointed, but she still told Hao Good-Man everything she knew. It turned out that the fat man would go out once every 2 months in the middle of the night. And one time, the woman discovered that he secretly went to meet a man. The fat man referred to that person as Brother Chin. They talked about the matter of evil ghost, and Brother Chin said that if the fat man did not let evil ghost evolve within half a year, he would kill him. Hao Good-Man looked at Hao So Sweet with a puzzled expression. Can evil ghosts still evolve? And what kind of person is Brother Chin? I'm not sure about that, but I'm certain that this bottle was given by him, because the symbol on Brother Chin's clothes is identical to the one on this bottle. After getting the answer he wanted, Hao Good-Man put away the bottle and prepared to go back. But when he reached the door, he was stopped by a woman. She blushed. "I am packing to go to the survivor base. Do you want to come with me?" Hao Good-Man turned his head and smiled slightly. "I also want to, but the two tigresses at home will probably come after me with knives if they find out I ran away with someone." Seeing Hao Good-Man leaving like this, she looked reluctant, thinking how wonderful it would be to be the woman he cared so much about. When Hao Good-Man returned home, he left a large amount of food and water for Shirley Amy. After he cleared out all the zombies around him, he finally summoned the goddess system and prepared to open the gate to return to the original world. He placed his hand on the gate with just one hand. The system immediately issued a notification, opening the gate of Dojitsu, deducting 1 billion gold coins. The return time, this time, is 24 hours. Gate of Dojitsu will reopen and send you back to the end of the world after 24 hours. And the flow speed of the two worlds is the same. The location of the transfer is where it was last opened. With a dazzling flash of light, Hao Good-Man was surrounded. The next second, he appeared in front of a big door. He slowly opened the big door. The scene before his eyes left him with an incredulous look. The man just traveled back from the apocalypse. He saw a group of burly men pointing guns at him. The woman he deeply loved, who caused his death, was approaching him with a mocking smile. But when she saw Hao Good-Man standing in front of her unscathed, her face looked as horrible as if she had eaten a fly. The woman could not believe what she saw before her. As the woman closest to Hao Good-Man, she knew all of Hao Good-Man's secrets. He couldn't possibly have stood here unscathed after the plane crash. The woman at this moment felt that Hao Good-Man must be pretending to be calm. And Hao Good-Man, looking at the woman's shocked expression, had a mocking look on his face. "Are you scared? Are you thinking about whether to kneel down and beg for my forgiveness?" But the woman simply didn't believe he still had the ability to fight back. With scorn and arrogance, she said, "You're almost at death's door, and you're still pretending to be something." Seeing the expression on the woman's face, Hao Good-Man finally understood what was going on in her mind. He provocatively said, "If you think she's faking it, Why don't you come and try it for yourself? You'll find out soon enough. Looking at Hao Good-Man, he appeared confident and dismissive of everyone around him. The woman clenched her teeth in anger. Just because you're a great grandmaster doesn't mean no one can handle you. Today, I will make you kneel down and beg me. Behind her, there was a mentally handicapped person who had grown up on tainted milk powder, who stepped forward. They looked at Hao Good-Man dumbfoundedly. Although they were only martial artists at the grandmaster level, as long as they used that thing to slaughter you, it would be more than enough. Looking at the woman with a fierce face, Hao Good-Man scratched his nose and revealed a look of wisdom in his small eyes. And at this moment, the silly brother had already obtained the medicine. Just saw them aggressively jabbing the syringe into their own necks. They truly lived up to having been raised on tainted milk powder, not afraid of pain at all. The woman noticed the changes that occurred in the bodies of the twins after they had been injected with the medicine. The woman looked at Hao Good-Man with a confident expression on her face. Although Grandmaster is divided into innate, acquired, Great Grandmaster, each level has an insurmountable gap. Relying on their 2 Grandmaster abilities alone, they really can't win against you. But now is different. I saw the silly brother's clothes were being stretched to the breaking point by his bulging muscles. It feels like a bloated pig standing up. This potion can increase their strength and speed tenfold. Now you are just a lamb waiting to be slaughtered in front of them. A man just came back from the apocalypse, only to be surrounded by the woman he once deeply loved but who also plotted against him. This time, the woman is fully prepared and determined to make Hao Good-Man die without a burial place. After injecting hormones into the intellectually disabled brother, the woman is prepared to take action against Hao Good-Man. Just then, a voice interrupted the woman's actions. The woman looked shocked when she saw the figure coming towards her. The person coming towards her was none other than Maple, the president of SSM Biology Company that Hao Good-Man had long admired. Only to see her boldly standing in front of Hao Good-Man, calmly looking at the muscular men around and saying, "I want to see who the hell dares to touch my person." And when Hao Good-Man heard the words, "my person," a shy expression appeared on his face. It is unknown what he was thinking at this moment. But the woman, hindered by Maple's identity, dared not act directly. She only saw her mouth curling up, with a sly look on her face as she shouted towards Hao Good-Man. "How come the mighty Good-Man gang leader also needs to be protected by a woman? How is that possible? A real man always shields women from the wind and rain." Just saw Hao Good-Man gave a devilish smile as he stood in front of Maple. But Maple thought Hao Good-Man was being forceful and showed a worried expression. Hao Good-Man immediately comforted her when he saw that. Then he disdainfully walked towards his mentally challenged brother. At this moment, the mentally challenged brother was frantically waving his right hand that he was using to do his homework. But seeing Hao Good-Man's expression, the mentally challenged brother was driven crazy with anger. Fortunately, they didn't let anger cloud their judgment. They just decided to have Goofball go up first to test Hao Good-Man's skills. Just saw Goofball charge towards Hao Good-Man like a cannonball. He was easily dodged by Hao Good-Man's casual sidestep. He also casually flipped over a huge rock and smashed it towards Goofball. But the huge rock was kicked to pieces by Goofball. The force of this kick directly kicked the broken stones everywhere, feeling as if Naikai possessed it. And the crushed stones were easily blocked by the strong individuals as well. As the dust slowly dispersed, everyone saw the 2 figures gradually revealing their forms. I saw Hao Good-Man open his big hand, his sharp eyes fixed on Goofball. "Since you want to fight, then come on," he said sternly. This treacherous woman wanted to kill the man who deeply loved her. She spared no expense in hiring 2 grandmasters to go after Hao Good-Man. But the one-sided man mistakenly thought that the woman was misled by someone else and hesitated to retaliate. After a fierce battle, he discovered that each move from the opponent was deadly. He finally couldn't help but erupt. And Bear too, who had been dominating the situation, started to mock Hao Good-Man when he saw him taking things seriously. But the next second, Hao Good-Man used the unique skill of the Tang sect, faint shadows, lost traces. Just then, with a swoosh, Hao Good-Man disappeared without a trace. But the next second, he appeared behind Bear 2. At this moment, Bear 2 felt immense pressure because he couldn't see Hao Good-Man's figure at all. And seeing how strong Hao Good-Man's strength was, Bear 1's face changed drastically, and he hurriedly pointed out Hao Good-Man's location to Bear 2. But when Bear 2 raised his hand to strike behind, Hao Good-Man's figure was no longer there. Watching the somewhat confused Bear 1 rushed up with one swift step, but his strength could only touch the afterimage of Hao Good-Man. Watching the two being forced into a passive defense, Hao Good-Man directly launched a physical attack against them. At this time, Bear 1 and Bear 2 are discussing countermeasures. They are preparing to attack Hao Good-Man with a pincer movement from top and bottom. After they have identified Hao Good-Man's position, Bear 1 uses a grappling technique and attacks towards the upper body of Hao Good-Man with flying crane grappling technique. Bear 2, on the other hand, is executing the quilling dragon kick and charging towards Hao Good-Man. Feeling the surging power of Bear 1 and Bear 2 under the influence of hormones, Hao Good-Man directly activated the purple extreme demon eye. After that, he used faint shadows, lost traces, and charged towards Bear 1. Hao Good-Man was seen striking Bear 1's waist with the ultimate move, bone-melting soft palm. Bear 1 was seen being struck so hard that he vomited out tomato juice. Bear 2, on the other hand, just charged right through. When he turned around and saw the miserable state Bear 1 was in, he slammed on the brakes so hard that sparks flew from the ground. Then he glared menacingly at Hao Good-Man. If looks could kill, Hao Good-Man would have died 1,000 deaths by now. I only saw Bear 2's face turning pale, his body constantly emitting red steam. He punched straight towards Hao Good-Man's head. But at this speed, it was as slow as a snail in the purple extreme demon eye of Hao Good-Man. Only a residual image of Hao Good-Man was left in the air, but the punch of Bear 2 solidly landed on the face of Bear 1, making Bear 1 vomit out the few remaining tomato juice and rolling their eyes. Scared by this, Bear 2 widened their eyes and couldn't help but curse a dirty word. And at this moment, Hao Good-Man had already arrived behind Bear 1. Just saw him reaching out his hand towards Bear 1. His hand was also rapidly accumulating energy. The next second, Bear 1 and Bear 2 were nailed to the wall. Buddha's palm's secret technique creates a huge smoke on the rooftop. Bear 1 and Bear 2 are also lying motionless in the ruins. The man is indifferent to the woman who throws herself at him, just because all the assassins she sent were easily dealt with by Hao Good-Man. When she saw this scene, she was also shocked by Hao Good-Man's strength. She was thinking of escaping while Hao Good-Man had not noticed her yet. But just as the woman stepped onto the plane with one foot, Hao Good-Man called out to her. Hao Good-Man appeared with a dark complexion and bulging veins. Did you grow a brain on your chest after leaving me? Have you forgotten the consequences of betraying me? The woman shivered at the mention of Hao Good-Man. So, how can you let me go, Hao Good-Man? He turned his head and smirked devilishly. It's simple. Just tell me who gave this to you. Looking at the man who is close by, the woman can't believe it's just such a simple request. But now, she has no power to resist, and can only grit her teeth and reveal everything. It turns out that this potion is a new project developed by a modern weapons company. The potion given to the woman is exactly from the CEO of this company, Zhoujin. And the person who designed the plane crash targeting Hao Good-Man is also him. The woman also mentioned that everything she did was under his threats. But in the next second, the woman unexpectedly rushed at him, pressing her large breasts against his body. A flush appeared on her face as she uttered some words that even a dog would shake its head at. Watching the shameless woman, Hao Good-Man gave a disdainful look. Enough. Talk to me properly. Don't give me careless eyes. Feeling the pain coming from the fingers, the woman showed an incredulous look. How could it be? He used to be so caring towards me, how could he? But Hao Good-Man didn't give her time to dwell on memories. He gave her a fierce look, staring at the woman intently. "Tell me, what does he gain from killing me? And where is he now?" The woman finally realized the truth and knelt down weakly. "It seems like he wants something on your turf. I don't know where he is. He has always contacted me directly." But the next second, Hao Good-Man grabbed the woman's face and continued to question her for the answers he wanted. However, the woman was so frightened by this sudden treatment that she trembled. I really don't know." But Hao Good-Man's grip did not weaken until tears streamed down the woman's face, and only then did he stop. He looked at the woman, who was still coughing incessantly. Hao Good-Man pointed down at me from a high position and said, "I'm also a purebred grudge holder. I'll let you off the hook this time." He then turned around and walked away. But the woman watched as Hao Good-Man walked away. In the previous second, she had a pitiful expression, but in the next second, we witnessed how quickly a woman can change her face. Suddenly, a voice made her heart beat faster. "I promised to let you go, but some people didn't promise that." Only to see Yu-Maple approaching the woman with his henchmen. The rivals meeting each other are particularly jealous. Here, Yu-Maple sees the opportunity. She directly turned Rose into a pig's head. She also plans to send her to the elder's house for everyone to see. But despite being in such an environment, Rose is still yelling, "Who dares to touch me? I will make you brothers split up for sure." Hao Good-Man looked at the irrational Rose without paying attention, just letting Yu-Maple pry out all the secrets from her mouth. After all, having loved each other before, he couldn't bring himself to hurt her. He then handed Yu-Maple a piece of paper, asking her to collect all the items written on it. But when Yu-Maple saw the items written on it, she was shocked. She thought he was going to be the king of the mountain. But to think that during his disappearance, his account had been frozen by Rose. Now he is penniless. He told Hao Good-Man everything, intending to use his own money and efforts to help him settle this matter, bringing the two closer together. But he did not expect that Hao Good-Man just sneered. Then he took out the unlimited Supreme Alpha Male card from his pocket. It turns out that the Alpha Male card was given to him by the goddess of system. The balance on the card is associated with the gold coins in the system, which allows him to make purchases in the original world. Yu-Maple looked at the Alpha Male card in front of him with a displeased expression, thinking that he was indeed a stubborn alpha male. Even when this lady offered it to him, he actually rejected it. But as a straight guy, Hao Good-Man didn't think too much about it. After explaining the good things, he arrived at a hotel. In this hotel, which made the mice cry, Hao Good-Man tapped on the table. Unexpectedly, the thug, who was emitting smoke rings, said the rooms were full and told Hao Good-Man to get lost. But little did he know that when Hao Good-Man said, "Potato, potato, I'm a sweet potato," the street thug immediately turned into a well-behaved baby, looking nervous and said, stinky fish, I'm a rotten shrimp." After successfully matching the secret code, the street thug led Hao Good-Man to the basement and asked Hao Good-Man to enter by himself. But just as Hao Good-Man opened the door, a big hand reached out towards him. But the experienced warrior Hao Good-Man wouldn't be so easily caught. He dodged it with a quick sidestep. The next second, he dropped his backpack and launched a counterattack. The man bent over swiftly. Immediately after, he executed a backflip and retreated. After getting a clear look at each other's faces, the two men shared a smile. Other men were excited to see Hao Good-Man, but later they started to complain to Hao Good-Man. It turned out that originally there were 8 brothers who roamed the world with Hao Good-Man, but now only 5 remain after being hunted down by Rose. In order to evade Rose, they have been hiding here and dare not go out. Hearing this, Hao Good-Man was so angry that he directly flattened a 1-meter-thick aluminum can. Fortunately, he did not let anger cloud his judgment. He instructed everyone to act covertly in the future, dig out the forces behind Rose while protecting themselves, and stated that he would leave for a period of time. However, he has already left a large amount of funds to run the company. Any issues can be addressed by seeking help from Umaple. As the saying goes, the male lead is hard to chase after a thin layer of gauze. But it seems that this saying does not apply to Umaple. After she prepared 2 boxes of supplies for Hao Good-Man like a licking dog, I didn't expect he still needed Umaple's help. Umaple couldn't help it when she heard that, showing a fierce expression and staring at Hao Good-Man. "Are you using me as a tool?" Looking at the woman on the verge of eruption. Hao Good-Man scratched his face guilty. No, you will definitely be interested in this thing." Upon seeing Hao Good-Man take out the item, Umaple showed a disdainful expression. But Hao Good-Man's next move directly stunned everyone, only to see him give the little mouse a drop of happy water to drink. With a snap of his fingers, he instantly switched the heads of the little mouse and his own. But the next second, a strange image appeared at the wound of the little mouse. In the blink of an eye, a complete mouse head grew out. Umaple was so shocked by the scene in front of her that she was speechless. She thought that if she could research and replicate such a potion, her family would also make a qualitative leap. After calming down her excitement, Umaple agreed to Hao Good-Man's request. She also complained that Hao Good-Man used too much happy water to feed the mice. Hao Good-Man didn't argue with Umaple. He just feared that Umaple wouldn't see the effectiveness of the potion and would think he was really using her as a tool. He then asked Umaple to take care of the brothers of the Good-Man gang more when he was not around. Upon hearing that Hao Good-Man was not around, Umaple's face changed in surprise, thinking that Hao Good-Man was in critical condition. Fortunately, Hao Good-Man explained in time that he would be back soon, which relieved Umaple's anxiety. Thinking that Hao Good-Man became mysterious after disappearing for a while also made Umaple lost in thought. After a long day has passed, Hao Good-Man finally received the system's teleportation notification. While waiting for the teleportation, Hao Good-Man thought about how proud he was to have brought so many materials this time, daydreaming about the reward surely Amy might give him after seeing this. He couldn't help but spray out tomato juice. As the system transfer began, Hao Good-Man heard the sound of rushing water. The next second, Hao Good-Man's figure appeared in a bathroom, and this scene felt so familiar to him, as if this was where the dream began. The little baby turned into a little girl in just one day. At this time, Hao Good-Man, who traveled back, thought that the figure in front of him was a new kind of zombie and rushed over directly. Unexpectedly, the other party actually jumped up to catch him. The next second, I saw the little girl holding Hao Good-Man's hands and performing an invincible wind and fire wheel. Hao Good-Man, who had finished performing, was lying on the ground with a pained expression on his face. But as soon as the little girl shouted, "Mom!" Hao Good-Man suddenly realized. But at that moment, Amy suddenly opened the door. When he saw the scene in front of him, his face was full of black lines, and of course, Hao Good-Man knew what Amy was thinking. He explained in a flustered manner that it was not what she saw. After an awkward atmosphere passed, the little girl finally changed her clothes. Hao Good-Man also learned the ins and outs of the matter from Amy's mouth. Looking at the silent Amy, Hao Good-Man thought she was going to let him off. But the next moment, Amy looked at Hao Good-Man with a mocking face and said, "I never expected you, a pervert, would even target children." Hao Good-Man looked embarrassed, coughed twice to ease the tension, and then made up a ridiculous story that even a dog would shake its head at. Amy, looking at Hao Good-Man, showed a look of disdain. "Are you satisfied now? Next, let's play games with Hao So Sweet." Upon hearing about playing games, Hao Good-Man thought Amy would finally stop pursuing the matter. Upon seeing that it was soccer, he boasted about his dribbling skills like Messi and shooting like Ronaldo. But he hadn't finished showing off his prowess yet. Under a violent strike from Hao So Sweet, the ball went straight into the goal. Almost kicked his brain thrombus out. When Hao Good-Man came to his senses, he boasted that he had been careless. "I was careless. No dodging." This matter finally came to an end. In the evening, Hao Good-Man brought back supplies to the rooftop to prepare a barbecue for Amy and Hao So Sweet. Amy wasn't angry anymore and told Hao Good-Man that Hao So Sweet only turned into a loli after stealing the pork, and as she grew up, her speech became more fluent. But she only grew physically. Her thinking remains childlike. She doesn't even know to take off her clothes when bathing. Upon hearing about the clothes from Hao Good-Man, I remembered that I brought new clothes and equipment back from the original world. Immediately after that, he took out the clothes and handed them to Amy, while Hao Good-Man took advantage of the opportunity for Amy to change clothes to think that since Hao So Sweet had grown up, his abilities should have changed as well, and he opened the system interface. The system displayed the member attributes, showing that Hao So Sweet had entered the growth stage at level 5 with skills: Parasitic Evil Eye at level 1, Disguise at level 1, and Sonic Skin at level 1. Looking at the change from childhood to the growth stage, Hao Good-Man was also puzzled. And at this moment, a voice interrupted Hao Good-Man's thoughts. Just then, Amy and Hao So Sweet walked out after changing clothes. The little baby evolved into a little Lolita in just one day. And as a milk dad, Hao Good-Man wants to understand the reason. After feeding Hao So Sweet a big meal, he tried to understand the reason. He finally found out from Hao So Sweet's mouth that besides eating meat before evolution, he also ate a red stone. Hearing about the red stone, Hao Good-Man suddenly realized that the stone was a reward from the system. At that time, he didn't pay much attention and casually threw it in the box containing pork chops. I didn't expect that it could still evolve after being mistakenly eaten by Hao So Sweet. I just don't know if Hao So Sweet's ability to transform will still exist after evolution. Thinking about Hao Good-Man, he was ready to test it out. He took out a poster from his pocket and put it in front of Hao So Sweet, with a serious look on his face, asking it to see if it could transform into the appearance on the poster. But when Hao So Sweet saw the content of the poster, he was stunned and dumbfounded. Just at this moment, the tightly closed door suddenly made banging noises. Amy thought that Shirley, who had gone out to find something, had returned. She opened the door without any precaution, and the next second, a zombie with a face full of pus and drooling green saliva appeared behind Amy, looking at her at arm's length. Amy showed a look of horror. But the next second, just then, Hao Good-Man was picking his teeth and calling for Amy to come back quickly to eat barbecue. He said she could leave the rest to him. And at this moment, Zombie was pulling out the bamboo skewers from his body with his hands. Upon seeing the liquid flowing from Zombie's wounds, Hao Good-Man immediately concluded that he could no longer regenerate. Later, he clenched the bamboo sticks tightly in his hands and transformed into Bamboo Wolverine. Just saw Hao Good-Man leaping up. Clang! But this kind of damage is like painless acupuncture for the zombie. After pulling out a bamboo stick with its hand, it directly throws it at Hao So Sweet. But Hao So Sweet easily caught the bamboo stick. But the green liquid on the bamboo stick kept corroding Hao So Sweet's little hand. Amy was shocked and turned pale when she saw that. She quickly told Hao So Sweet to let go. At this time, green gas and liquid kept coming out of Zombie's wound until his whole body was covered. It was slowly moving closer to Hao So Sweet. And at this moment, Hao So Sweet gripped the power of thunder. She looked at the wound slowly healing under the power of thunder. The next second, she unexpectedly pinched her middle finger, only to see him shining brightly all over. I unexpectedly acquired a zombie daughter. Not only does she look cute, but she also has exceptional abilities. And she also has 72 transformations. And I wanted her to transform into the big sister on the poster. But I didn't expect her to play dumb and say she couldn't transform. But when she was fighting against Zombie, she actually transformed into my appearance. She even copied my moves to attack Zombie. After seeing her successfully repel Zombie, I was still rejoicing at having gained another powerful fighting force. Suddenly heard her shouting, "Mom," to me, and then imitated my appearance to make a very flamboyant gesture. My face immediately turned as ugly as if I had eaten a fly, while Amy was secretly laughing at me on the side. At this moment, I wished I could find a hole to hide in, thinking that the tall and mighty image of myself in front of Amy instantly shattered. I just turned around and scolded Hao So Sweet to quickly return to his original self. And at this moment, the repelled zombie suddenly lunged at me. And it wants to attack me with the corrosive liquid on its arms, watching its hands almost reaching me. I immediately activated martial soul dojutsu to try to control the opponent. But the system unexpectedly prompted me that the control attempt had failed. Fortunately, I swiftly evaded with ease. After all, initially I didn't resolve it because I wanted to test Hao So Sweet's skills. Now I have the answer. Then there's no use in keeping it. But after I successfully killed the zombie, the system actually told me that the special zombie I killed rewarded me with 5 million gold coins. Thinking that the reward for killing a zombie used to be 1 million, but now it's 5 million, Hao Good-Man fell into contemplation. At this moment, Hao So Sweet also finally returned to her original appearance and, looking at the dead zombie, she actually wanted to go up and take a few bites. Hao Good-Man and Amy, who saw the scene, were both shocked. The two of them quickly stepped forward to stop her. And then, they also properly educated Hao So Sweet. But when the two saw the crystal on Hao So Sweet's hand, this reminded Hao Good-Man that Hao So Sweet evolved into a little lowly after eating this. At this moment, the goddess of system suddenly called Hao Good-Man into the system space. After he had a conversation with the goddess, he learned that all zombies contain a type of energy within their bodies. The energy in regular zombies is relatively thin and cannot form crystals. However, they can obtain energy by devouring other zombies. The more they devour, the greater the energy accumulation, eventually forming crystals. Even in the end, they can transform into powerful evil ghosts. So we need to strive no matter what we do. Even if we turn into a zombie, we should strive to be a positive and proactive zombie. In this world where zombies roam, zombies can not only mutate their bodies by devouring their own kind, they can also regain memories and awaken different abilities when they devour up to 10,000 of their own kind. And our male lead happens to have one of these zombies. At this moment, he is fantasizing about Hao So Sweet continuing to devour the crystal's transformation. Is the powerful Titan Barbie, or the mutant animal devil fruit user, or the lowly with alien bloodline? Thinking about it, he was eager to develop Hao So Sweet quickly. And the goddess of system, who can see Hao Good-Man's thoughts, yelled at him loudly. But Hao Good-Man just looked at the goddess with a smirk, flirted with the system for a while, and then teleported away. Only the goddess was left standing there, powerless and furious. Hao Good-Man, who was teleported over, looked confused to see Amy circling around the zombie.